All right, the real day has arrived. There's the draft day, round 1. Then there's day 2, which is rounds 2 and 3. Then there is day 3, which is rounds 4, 5, 6, 7, and all the undrafteds. And then there is day 4, when the coach and yours truly break it all down. Welcome aboard. All right, we're off and running. Saturday morning, 8:42 West Coast time, 11:42 back east, where the coach joins us. We are fired up. Welcome to the Krug Show, brought to you by Pig and a Pickle. The best barbecue in all of Northern California is Pig and a Pickle. Check them out there in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera, soon to open in Petaluma. That's right, Petaluma. And we'll tell you about that. It's coming shortly. It's going to be awesome. We're fired up. The grand opening of Pig and a Pickle's 3rd location. I know, it's amazing. The Krug Show also is presented by Prize Picks, America's #1 sports picks app. Prize Picks is super simple. Just pick more or less on player stats or even game outcomes. Build your lineup. It's available in most states, including California. If you haven't checked it out yet, use code HMA. And when you play $5, you're going to get $50 in lineups instantly. The Krug Show also brought to you by our good friends at Habbas Law, and we'll talk more about them and our other sponsors in a bit. There are links in the description for all of our sponsors. If you want to support the show, the best way to do it is shop the sponsors. But without any further ado, they are fired up in the audience, because look who's in the house. The coach is here, and Coach, wait a second, wait for it.
Oh, you got it. Hey, we're right back at you.
Oh, that is awesome. And you know what, I said to Kev, Kev, he's like, Dad, what's up? I'm like, Kev, you don't realize Coach has got the NFL draft chime. He's got it in his system. He's like, Dad, just download it and put it on the board. I'm like, I don't know how to do it. He's like, all right, I'm going to download it. I'm going to put it there, and you can play with it for eternity. So there we go. I see your.
Oh, man. Yes, I love it, man.
It is awesome.
It's awesome, bro.
Well, hey, man, great to see you. We're back streaming on a Sunday after the NFL draft finished up on Saturday. We were going to go late last night, but we both said, you know what, give ourselves a few minutes to kind of breathe, maybe visit with our significant others, do whatever we need to do in our houses, and then sleep on it, see who they sign as undrafted, and let's tee it up the next morning, and that's today. So I won't lead you in any direction. What did I'll just throw it at you like we were sitting in a bar. What'd you think of the Niner draft, Coach?
Okay, so if you want to have a conversation about the draft, or if you want to have a conversation about the team, those are two completely different conversations.
Okay.
Right? The draft, in my opinion, covers the market, the value, the board, the context, and the timing of picks, right? For instance, Deshaun Stribling. I love the player. I hate the pick, right? 33 overall. There was a lot of different other needs that we can go after. Do we need a Dejan Stribling at 33 overall? Or or is he that special where you just had to get him before Denzel Boston and other likely receivers? I don't know. Is it your job to sit here and is it your job to understand the board and find players that are like Dejan Stribling? If you find yourself in a catbird seat at 33, where you have as many trade offers as any team would have in that position, yeah, you're supposed to know that. So I love Dejan Stribling. We actually did a show where I mocked him, but I mocked him in the 4th. Right. I didn't mock him in the 2nd round.
Right.
So we got to be honest about that. If Dejan Stribling is that important to you, then if you're in the draft war room with the Niners, then that means that you've got at least 2 other Dejan Stribling contingency plans, not Dejan Stribling or bust. Right. And that's what that move felt like. It felt like, hey, we only got a couple of guys that we truly, really like, and we're definitely going receiver, and we don't care about where we're going to go and get this guy. What's crazy about it is that we traded twice back out of the first round. So the real question is, if we didn't trade back, would we have drafted Stribling in the first round? Like,
I mean, the answer better be yes, right? Because if this is your guy, and then I would say the answer's got to be yes. We're going to get into a lot of breakdown, okay, and a lot of people are going to throw their chats in, and we want your comments and what you guys think.
For sure.
How would you guys evaluate the thing? But
this is the time for it.
Yeah, totally. But you and I have been doing this for too long. So as far as before we get into, because a lot of people just lose their mind in the evaluation. Like if you say anything negative about the picks, it's like you're anti the team. You know what I mean? It's like everybody pump the brakes. Forget anti the team. I'm pro the team. And how do I see it that way? I have a channel that exists around the team. If the team is good and compelling and interesting, the channel is going to do better. I'm going to do better. So I'm rooting for the team. I want the team to be successful. People who are
as do I.
Yeah, exactly. Because successful, we all go to the bank together, so to speak.
Right.
I do want to share this because I think Bucky Brooks is a really bright guy, and I've had him on before. He's a former scout. He works in the NFL Network. And in the context of what we're talking about, I think I want to read this up front. He says, FYI, it's unfair to judge a team's draft class based on consensus boards without a thorough understanding of the team's plans for the team, the players, or the scheme. It's impossible to suggest a pick is good or bad. Teams build their draft boards based on grades that project how a player will perform or contribute within their system. The consensus boards and media scouting reports lack that context. Without a clear understanding of the why behind each pick, critics are missing some of the key tidbits that are critical to the full assessment. In the NFL, it takes 2-3 years to determine whether players can or cannot play. That's why we should reserve judgment until we see how the players perform and how the teams utilize their personnel. That's not fun, but none of us are privy to the 32 draft boards or the schematic or personnel discussions prior to the draft. We can debate who was selected and where they were picked, but until we understand the why and see how it plays out between the lines, we are still playing the guessing game. It's a great perspective by Bucky. It's not pointing the finger at the fans or us, the media, or anybody going, you don't know. It's not that. It's really logical. It makes sense. I'll add one more line to this. The one thing, Coach, we are like evaluating guys. It's all like a job interview. We're looking at the resumes. They're looking at the resumes and meeting the candidates. And to me, I don't know about you, but if I got to pick somebody for a job and I can choose to read resumes or to interview people, I'm going to interview people because I want to meet them and I want to see what they're about face to face. I want to shake their hand, look them in the eye, all that kind of stuff. We don't get to do any of that. So the combination of what I just said and what Bucky just said, within that context, we're evaluating everything. But and I know what our limitations are in this process. And I think it's great to state it up front. I'm super into it. You're super into it. You have a full-time job. My job is my channel, and I'm watching tons of players and spending lots of time, but I'm not spending the kind of time that they are spending. And I'm not saying they're always right. I'm not saying they spend more time, they're right. No. I think I'm right all the time. I think they're right some of the time, but I just want to acknowledge that they spend more time on it. They have much more information. They meet the guys. And so within that, we don't have that. And within that context, I think we should have our discussion on this draft. Everything else, we're still going to do what we're going to do, which is tell you what we think of the picks. But we just want to put that out as a kind of a caveat that Coach knows and I know that we're not pro personnel directors. We haven't interviewed these guys, and we don't know exactly how the Niners feel like they fit their system. So within our evaluation is that.
Respectfully.
Yeah.
And I love you.
Sure.
I kind of feel like you're framing the debate.
No, I'm just.
There could be. Let me just. I'll just reply, and it's not even you. It's what Bucky Brooks said. in my opinion. I kind of feel like this is a cop-out. And if we can't judge picks on draft day, then what are we really doing? Front offices don't draft in a vacuum. They're operating with league-wide grades, positional value, historical hit rates, and the same film everyone else has access to. So when a team takes a guy a full round early, like Deshaun Stribling, we just got to look at the facts here. We're going with the consensus board. Deshaun Stribling got drafted 33 positions out of a consensus of where he got picked up. And that's not just here. What I feel like us talking literally about this draft as a one-off is a little bit obtuse. And the reason why I bring that up is because the track record is there. I think that this draft doesn't necessarily signify what's happening in training camp or in rookie mini camp and what's about to happen, which we all know is coming, right? This moment right here, which is only good for a little bit of time, right? Because once they're here and we get on the rookie minicamp and all that stuff, the draft is dead. So there's only really a short amount of time to have this conversation and it actually hits. And this real conversation, in my opinion, is the systemic failure and malfeasance of John Lynch's drafting. Okay, we're looking at Deshaun Stribling, 66 spots out of place. Jake Moody got drafted 99, 100, and he was ranked 275, 176 spots out. Nick Martin, he got picked up at 75th. He was ranked 192, 117 spots. These are guys that are not even on the team or playing. Okay, Keelan Black, third round pick. I love him. But come on, man. I feel bad for him because he's fallen into a narrative before we even see the kid play for us. But he got picked 90th overall. He was ranked 214th on the board. He was the first drafted player that didn't get invited to the combine. That's a real conversation, man. I'm all here for. Listen, Larry. I'm here for it. Once the boys get in, they're on our team. They're wearing the same logo. I'm not mad. I'm going to root for them just like everybody else. I'm going to push for them. I'm going to talk about their attributes. We're going to talk about how good they are for us. All of that matters. But if John Lynch only cares about the consensus in the building, then he's doing Kyle a disservice. Imagine what we could be if we had Kyle coaching with a better set of rosters, with better retention rate of keeping guys in here.
But you're painting a picture, Coach. You're painting a picture of like John inflicting this upon Kyle. For all we know, these are Kyle's picks. We really don't know. Kyle is the guy getting all the money. He is the guy that was hired first and hired John as his handpicked GM, kind of the way Pete Carroll picked like John Schneider back in the day. But I hear what you're saying, though. I hear what you're saying.
I mean, we could go deeper into the draft. You think so? All right. So Braden Willis was on Kyle. Garrett Kingston was on Kyle. Come on, man.
Let's talk about this for a second.
Cam Latu.
I think there was a debate within, obviously, like the Niner room about what is the right position to go for there at the first pick of round 2, and then within that is the debate of, okay, we want to go receiver. Okay, fine.
Okay.
Which receiver do you want to go with? Now, this is the way the board shook out. Carnell Tate, Mekhi Lemon, Jordan Tyson, Casey Concepcion. When the Niners picked in round 2, Omar Cooper was gone. They, of course, had him earlier. So those guys were gone. So they were looking at a board that consisted of Denzel Boston, who didn't run a 40, and that made me nervous. Jeremy Bernard, who I really did like from Alabama. Chris Bell, but there's a hitch in his giddy-up right now, and he's coming off the torn ACL. Then it's Malachi Fields, who ran in the 4.6s. Antonio Williams, who's kind of smaller. Then it's Stribling, was the 11th rated receiver. And by the way, the Beast had Stribling in a round 2, round 3 grade. And
he was ascending, to be fair. He was ascending. He ascended late.
Round 2. So, I mean, they took him early, but they didn't take him crazy early. And then I'm looking at this board, though. Elijah Surratt, I didn't like. Ted Hurst, I really loved, but I also acknowledge that he's an FCS player that is going to take some time I think is going to take a little time. But I like Ted Hurst more, but he would have taken more time. Zachariah Branch, totally different player. and a speedster, but a different player than Stribling. Brennan Thompson, a speedster, but a different player. Some people I'll give you an example. I think the NFL people like Stribling more than Brazel, but the draft people liked Brazel a lot. And if the Niners had gone Brazel on the trade back, I think people would have been okay with it. So that's kind of the top tier of the receivers. So then, Stribling, coach, I didn't love it either when I first heard it, but I did watch Stribling in the college football playoffs, and he did have an amazing playoff game against Georgia, catching balls from Trinidad Chambliss. And then I start going into his bio, right? Only a 1.9% drop rate, 6'2 and 1/8, 207, 10-inch hands, 153 on the 10-yard split. Then I'm like, well, is he fast? Well, 4.36 in the 40. Is he strong? Well, I don't know about that. He didn't lift, so I would say he probably needs to get stronger. But can he jump? Yeah, 36-inch vertical, 10.7 on the broad. Great time on the 3-cone. And then you read that he loves to block. He's a team captain. He was productive at 3 different programs, and he did play well in the college playoff, and he's a 4.36 guy with speed. So I hear you, but I will say this. I didn't love the name because I wanted Chris Bell. I wanted other guys. But after doing the deep dive on the player, I got to say that he's got size, blocking ability, some vertical ability. I'm willing to kind of give it a shot and see what it looks like this summer. I don't hate it. And I'll say this. It's not an A.J. Jenkins where it was like, what? This guy went in the first round. This guy was in the Big Ten. He did nothing. This guy played in the national college football playoffs and had a really good game. So we shall see. Let me ask you this. Did you not want to – are you more upset that they went well, first of all, you didn't say you're upset at all. But are you more – would you have rather seen a different receiver or would you have rather seen a different position altogether?
I would have rather seen a different position altogether. I just think that we could have got receiver later on. I don't like the Romello Height pick. We already talked about Romello Height ad nauseum on my channel and here. And he's too small. But now that I'm seeing the plan for him, maybe there is an uptick on him getting his rush plan together, or being able to stop the run and be like a real run defender. But I mean, that dog won't hunt. He's 25 years old. So I don't see him all of a sudden becoming like this stout run defender out of nowhere. And that's something that he really struggles at. He's a designated pass rusher. That's what he is. He's a designated pass rusher that may not see a second contract here. So I feel like he was a cheaper option for Huff that retired. So they brought him in, and I just want to see him develop. But he'll be a package guy. He's a wrinkle, but I wouldn't depend on him in the run game.
God no. He's not a first and second down player. I think
he's not a first. Right. He's a third down player. Yeah. So it's like, again, specialist. When you look at that and you say to yourself, like, okay, so we went out and got a sub package player with our second pick of the draft. And you traded back so many times, like I don't know, man.
You don't love that one.
I don't love it. I hate it, though.
Very productive. I mean, I hear what you're saying, though. Very skinny. Yeah.
And then also one thing that I will say that I didn't take into account once we drafted him is that there's a whole other side of his game with him going out into coverage and helping out in the curl flat and helping out in short intermediate routes and doing all of that stuff off the line of scrimmage. So that part of his game, I completely whiffed on. I did not pay attention to that, to be honest with you. I really looked at him as a traditional edge. Also, I do see how they kind of comped him here. I believe that a lot of the success that he had this year was because of the quite frankly, the defense that he played on. He played on a really good defense. A lot of those guys went to the league, safeties, linebackers, and defensive tackles and edges with the number 2 overall pick in Bailey. I think that the Niners maybe see Height coming in and playing opposite Nick Bosa, opposite Michael Williams, and kind of being a guy where they already know that he's never going to be asked to eat on his own. Right. So he'll be able to be a benefactor of playing with other guys that we have there. So I understand I think I understand the plan for him. I was very upset that we got him that high because I just thought, again, there were other edges that were there that, yeah, they may not be as refined as Romello Height, where you got to go smooth in the inside spin. But Jesus Christ, like, what are we coaching for? You can't get his rush plan together and really pick up on what the foundation of him is which is we can stop the run. Another thing that frustrated me too is we're so heavy on trying to get a pass rush, but it's like, dude, we weren't that good at stopping the run either this season. So, that needs to get, so that's what was really frustrating me about this whole DPR, designated pass rusher lane that we were in, is that, like, why are we looking for a DPR when we haven't even proven the fact that we know how to get to third down? We got to handle first and second down. So I love what they did in UDFA. That really helped me out, picking up the kid from Illinois. That was huge. But before we picked him up, we're really dependent on Sebastian Valdez, Evan Anderson, and Alfred Collins and CJ West. That's the interior of our defensive line right there, right? Yeah, Osia Digizua is a guy that we brought in, but he's supposed to be your go-get-him 3-tech who goes and gets the who goes and gets the quarterback. Again, I felt the same way before we picked up the kid in Illinois when we got Grayson Holton. I love Grayson Holton. I think that he's got traits, off the board traits, right? If you liked Caden Proctor out of Southeast Louisiana, then how can you not love Grayson Holton? He's a better version of him, right? But again, he's got a small frame. He's not really a wide player. And I was really looking for something to give us a little bit more beef to help us out in the run game. So I get it. They want to go get the quarterback, and we absolutely were horrible at it. So there is a world where, hey, this is exactly what the doctor ordered, but this is just more of how I approach the game, where you approach it from the inside out. You stop the run first. If you can't stop the run, you got to earn the right to get the third down.
Yeah, I mean, Romello Height's a specialist, right? He's an edge.
He's a specialist. Yeah.
He's a pass rushing specialist. I mean, my whole thing with it, I was looking at the board of how the ends came off, and Romello went 6th pick of the 3rd round. There's only really 1 or 2 guys that I would have rather have had at the edge spots. Like Jayshawn Barham went 28th in the 3rd round to Dallas. Mm-hmm. I think I would have been happier with Jayshawn Barham. But you know what? Barham was a stack backer who's more of a blitzer than a rusher, and Romello I think is a little bit more of a rusher. Romello's not a run defender; he's very linear, but I think he's going to. I love the burst, I love the get off, and I think he'll be able to heat up some quarterbacks. The other guy I like, Dennis Sutton, who went to Green Bay in the 4th.
Me too.
Round. He's a bigger guy. I kind of like Joshua Josephs, who went to the Commanders, or went to the Commanders, in the 5th round. But other than that, I mean, the rushers went early. I mean, Bain went 15, but then there was a run there. Mesidor went 22. Malachi Lawrence went 23. Keldrick.
You know what else got us?
What's that?
You know what else that got us, that killed us, is going down to 90. You know who got picked right before 90? That gutted me. Kieron Crawford. Yeah. Kieron Crawford got picked like 3 spots ahead.
Yeah.
It killed me, man.
He went 3rd pick in the 3rd round, and the Niners had the 6th pick in the 3rd round. Yeah, I mean, Kieron Crawford, exactly. To me, the 3 guys that I thought were going to be there in the 3rd round, so this is early 3rd round. I thought Derek Moore from Michigan was going to be there. He went 12th pick in round 2. The Lions went with him. I thought Kieron Crawford was going to be there, and he wasn't there. And to me, those were the 3 guys that I thought, okay, I thought there was a chance R. Mason Thomas, and he went way higher. So, with those guys off the board, it was down to, in my opinion, Romello Height or Jayshawn Barham. The only reason I'm okay with the Romello Height is just because I know that Chris Kasarik made that pick, and Chris is a Texas Tech fan.
He's a guy. Yeah.
So he's dialed on the program. And I got to think that anything that Romello, if there's glitches, he was kind of a one, his production shows kind of a 1-year star. And I agree. There was all kinds of talent on that Texas Tech defense. You're totally spot on that. And so it's like, it's like the hardest thing to do in scouting is to figure out on a team full of talented players who's essential and who's just kind of along for the ride. But I got to think Chris really has a good feel because this is his team. And I like Romello, but it's interesting because we're plugging Romello into a defense coach that you and I haven't really seen. Like we don't know what the Raheem Morris version of the wide 9 with the Niner personnel is going to look like. We have no idea. And we have no idea how he's going to use this guy. So we're kind of at a loss here because they drafted a player that we know can't set the edge in their 4-3. We know is not a stacked backer. We know is not a defensive tackle. So it's like, do you like the pick? Well, I like the athlete, but I got to kind of see what it looks like on the field because you're right. He's skinny as hell. He's not going to stop the run, but he can heat up the quarterback. But, I mean, what's it going to look like? And what are these 5-man fronts going to look like? So there's a lot of unknowns here, but I don't mind that pick mostly because of Kasarik. I just think that he probably didn't get that one wrong. But let's move to Kalen Black because I think a lot of people were really outraged by the Kalen Black thing. And John Lynch took a lot of heat for Kalen Black. Warren Sharp took him to task. Grant Cohn asked him a question the other day, and it kind of blew up, and it got to the point where Warren Sharp, who's a pretty national writer, glommed onto it and was basically taking John to task. And I haven't read the full breakdown of Warren Sharp, but I know exactly what he's going to say. He's going to say John took this player here and he could have taken him there and he's not getting value and so on and so forth. What did you think? I'm seeing if I can hunt it down here. The question. Oh, here it is. Here, we'll just show it for those who didn't hear this. We'll stop sharing on that and we'll share this real quick. And then we can talk about it because this I think is interesting as well. This is an interesting exchange. And then also, Shanahan kind of jumps in here with a kind of a word salad to kind of defend it. But here's Lynch and Cohn and the presser yesterday.
John, your draft board seems to deviate quite a bit from the consensus. Why are you confident with that, given your track record draft for the last 2 years? It seems like it leads to you making reaches.
Appreciate you think that. Depends whose consensus. We got consensus in this building. That's the consensus I feel about.
I think that was one of the coolest things with this draft. Just so you don't reach on somebody. Like if there's somebody you're going to take at that spot, and your consensus or all your homework from around the league, not necessarily like Twitter or media stuff, just like things you investigate on when people are going to go. If you're going to take someone you think's the best player, but you don't think they're going to go until like 15 picks later, 20 picks later, it's always a huge risk because you never find out when they're going to go if you take them there. The times that we did feel that way, like at 27, at 30, you're able to move back and create stuff later. I forget what it was, but I got a 6th-round pick for next year, and we don't have a 6th-round pick for next year. And
Shut up, Kyle.
Back to whatever that was. The guy we would have taken, we got 15 picks later, and you pick up the 6 for next year where we had a hole. But the guy we would have taken at 7 moved to 30, and to move to 33. And so all that stuff was really cool to get the guys that you want, but also find a way to get 8 players when you only had 6 bullets. And also being a draft pick for next year, which sometimes you trade before the trade deadline, like we have in the last couple of years. So it was just, and to get these guys that we had, it was really neat.
Man, if I was Lynch, I would have liked that answer to be a lot shorter from Shanahan because it just seemed like he was,
he was covering for him. Yes.
Yeah, he was covering for him. And after a while, it's like, I don't want you to cover for me, and I, what'd you think of the exchange? Because it's interesting within the context of that is, John really, has stated a couple times throughout this process that he thinks last year's draft was fantastic and that it's going to prove to be really, really good over time. So he's got that on the brain. and Grant dropped the, your draft record. And you could see John wanted no part of it, sidestepped it a little bit. What'd you think?
The question was fair. So, and I think it was respectful from Grant, at the same time, the elephant in the room is if there was anybody that was going to ask that question, it was going to be Grant to ask that question. So that plays too. Do your job, man. It's the truth. And, like when we can count literal third round busts that we have, like we can ask that question. For us to not truly like understand what the draft is, what's going on with the draft and assess it with the consensus with the rest of the league, right? That's how why did we get Christian McCaffrey? Right? Like we got Christian McCaffrey because consensus is that he was the best guy that could help us. And on top of it, we were trying to keep him away from the Rams. Like, stop acting like football is all about what happens in our building. Football is the most competitive sport. Look what happened between the Steelers and the Eagles and how the Steelers are completely pissed off with the Eagles with stealing Mekhi Lemon. Like, dude, so don't act like, oh, we're just so head on what happens in between our four walls. Quite frankly, that's bullshit. The facts is that we're asking you, why aren't you matching up with the rest of your competitors? The people that you care about, that you want to win games against, those guys, right? We're talking about the numbers. We're talking about the ranks of us being last in pass rush, averaging less than 4 yards per carry, waiting till week 6 to go to score a touchdown. Like, these things matter. I think they're a little bit indignant with the fact that they won 12 games and we're not satisfied. And they're a little pissed off with it because they think that it should give them social currency. They think that they should not be challenged because they went out and won games on a weak schedule. But we all saw when we went out there and faced the toast of the town, which is the Seattle Seahawks, and they put a foot in our ass. So we know what real looks like. You can't all of a sudden have us beat weak ass teams and say, this is who we really are. And then when we play the teams that win Super Bowls, which, by the way, we still haven't gotten ours, forget all about that litmus test. That's what kills me. So it's not the fact that we're going against the consensus. Let me be a little bit more acute. We're going against the teams who fuck us up. That's who we're looking at. We're looking at the teams who draft better than us, that have players that are better than us. That's why we're looking at that. If you want to talk about consensus, then why the fuck is Juwan Jennings still in free agency? Why do we have to take back Dre Greenlaw after he was a cap casualty? Stop acting like you guys don't pick favorites. Larry, you just said it yourself. The reason why Romello Height is here is why? Because Coach Kasarik loves him. My only question is there a barrier that even saves them from themselves, right? Because even coaches can want people that they don't need. Even coaches can love a guy that you've been watching and say, this is the guy that I really want to coach. But then you have a GM, a real GM, and you have a developmental staff and a real scouting staff that can put the governor in and say, no, all right, that's least privilege. You don't need to know about that. You can come in and give us your suggestion, but you're not about to be bringing in your guys. And that's what the draft feels like, bro. It feels like they're in there picking their guys. Like, I like this guy, so let's draft Deshaun Stribling. I don't give a fuck that he's drafted 66 places out of overall, right? It's like, oh yeah, let's defend Keelan Black while we got Jordan James with 6 career carries that you haven't even used him yet. He's still got the new car smell on him. And then we go out and go in the third round and go get Keelan Black? Come on, man. You go get Deshaun Stribling 33rd overall. What the fuck is going on with Jordan Watkins?
Well, I mean,
so it's these are real. The only reason why I'm frustrated is because they gaslighting us. Don't gaslight me, bro. At least explain what you're doing, right? Any real organization, any fans would be asking, why are we drafting 2 running backs back to back? And we got one that we haven't even played. And then we got another one that we overuse. And then we picked up one that was grossly a reach. And he didn't get invited to the combine. And he's never had a full load as a running back. And he's a transfer from James Madison. And he's only shared a backfield. Like, why can't we ask real questions? Those are real facts. So I'm the asshole. I'm not a fan just because I notice real things. Come on.
To me, it's a fair question. There's nothing wrong with it, but it does come across as hyper negative. The Niners have been one of the winningest teams. I mean, you can have a bottom line approach if you want that, but really, I mean, I'm not going to do that. To me, it's not a world of difference between losing and winning the Super Bowl. It's not like, oh my God, you won the Super Bowl, you can walk on water. Oh, you didn't win the Super Bowl? Oh, you're shit and get out of here. It's like, no, there's degrees of this stuff. They've had a lot of success here. They've had a lot more success than their predecessors have had. And they've had a lot more success than almost anybody has had since going back to Walsh. So I think it comes across as I know more than you. And when all you're armed with is the draft position versus what the Sporting News draft guide says or what you think the consensus says, I don't think you're armed with much. I don't think you're armed with a whole lot. If all you're saying is like, look, Dennis Sutton was supposed to go 88 and he went 66. That's a reach. Okay, but you know what? I know these guys. I know Matt Miller. I know Todd McShay. I know Mel Kiper. These guys move their boards around throughout the process to align with what they think the others have. So, you know what I mean? That nobody wants. It's a gigantic group. The NFL is a gigantic group think project. And anytime people kind of branch out and say, yeah, no, I don't think that at all. I mean, I'll respect the hell out of guys like Dieter. I mean, Dieter's got his own thoughts. I mean, he had a draft guide. He didn't have Lee Hunter drafted at all. I'm like, Dieter, what are you talking about? This guy may go in the first round. He went in the second round. He didn't have him as a draftable player. And when confronted with the facts, was like, hey, he sucks. I'm right. They're wrong. So everybody has their opinions, and we all have our evaluations. And I don't look at the Stribling thing as a reach. I look at that as, difference of opinion and a very tight board. I look at the Kalon Black thing, and I love Kalon Black as a major reach.
It's a major reach.
2.5 rounds early reach. But then there's the debate of value versus the player. And I think that's where a lot of the Niner fans are going to confuse things. And it's going to be this, as you said, it's kind of a disservice to Black. He's going to walk into a situation that's kind of charged up with people pulling the rope in different directions and using him as a way to kind of prove their point or argue their point. And it's unfair. I will say this. I hated the spot, but I love the players so much that, and there's so many examples where I hate the player and I don't care what spot it's in. And it's like, when I love the player, a lot of times I'm more forgiving on the spot, but there's no doubt that was a major reach. And, the one thing about the teams that do this best, who does it best? I think the Ravens do it really well. I think Tampa does it really well. They play the board as it comes to them. They're not so tied to one position or one player or one this or one that. I don't know. The 49ers have a lot of things going on. They're trying to satisfy everybody. The owner's sitting right there. The coordinators are there. The coaches all have a say. The scouting staff, the R&D. You can tell that just from the interviews of Tariq Ahmad and R.J. Gillen and Josh Williams. Ahmad's like, yeah, R.J. and I disagreed a few times today, and it got, So there is a lot of differing opinions in the room, and I don't know that that's the best way to do it. John argues that when they have consensus on their board, that's when the analytics that show that they do the best. But I mean, how building consensus, coach, with it's not that much different than what are we having for dinner tonight? If I just decide on my own, guess what? It gets done quickest. If I engage my wife in the discussion, now she's got her own thoughts. If I now engage my 4 kids in the discussion, now we're having an argument because this person wants this and this person wants that. And it's hard to build consensus on dinner, let alone a prospect with money on the table. So I kind of prefer the teams that have like a czar who's like, he's the guy and everybody's like, John Schneider, what are we doing? as opposed to, well, we listened to this guy and these people and those people. That's his job to listen, and that's their job. But sometimes I get the feeling that the Niners don't have any consistency with their drafting. They hit, they miss, they hit, they miss. And it's because they're listening this time to the research and development staff. They're listening that time to the analytics people. They're listening this time to the doctors. They're listening that time to Kyle. They're listening this time to Kasarik. Now they're listening to Furster. And it's like they're listening to an awful lot of people. And it's like, where's that central, this guy's a proven picker who's just going to sift through all of it and get to the brass tacks? I kind of feel like they're trying to serve a lot of masters, and because of it, you see the inconsistency. They hit, and it's great, and then they miss wildly, or they reach wildly. Their argument, coach, is going to be, like, look at the results. We're one of the most successful franchises since we've been here. We've been to a couple Super Bowls. Yes, we haven't won that gotten that win in that ultimate game. But, man, we've gotten close, and we've been good in the regular season, and we're coming off a 12-win season where we knocked off the world champions in their backyard before falling out of the playoffs. So I can understand why they think they're doing it right, but I can also understand why Grant and many people are frustrated with their process, see the inconsistencies, and are shouting it out. And I wouldn't look at that as Grant. I look at that as Grant's passionate about the team that he covers. That's what I would look at. That would be the message. That would be my takeaway from that. Grant is passionate about the team that he covers. Those guys understand they've had misses, and they're trying to defend their process. And I think that's what we saw there. But I think ultimately the best thing would be, Kyle, you're a great coach. John, you're a great face of the franchise. Be the face of the franchise. And let's go find a Dave Gettleman. Let's go find a Trent Baalke, but somebody that we like. Let's go find a scout who's just all in it, and he's not doing executive stuff, and he's not speaking at functions, and he's not at ownership meetings. He's not the face of he's not traveling. Give me just somebody in a dark room who's great at the draft as the GM, and let Kyle just coach. Here's my question to you. If they came to him and said, Kyle, what do you think of just coaching? Do you think he says, let me out, I want out of here?
Yeah.
So you can't do that. Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, you can't do that. You got to go with it.
I think that's what I think that's why I think he believes that is the linchpin into what got his father fired, is when he was no longer able to handle personnel. And I think a lot of it is kind of rest in what happened in Washington. But really, the first time the second to last time that Mike Shanahan got fired was when he had everything that Kyle had. The same thing. He had the same deal and the same setup in Denver, where he was a de facto team president and GM. He made all of the picks. He basically was final saying word, and he went out and got Jay Cutler, put down Jake Plummer, and the rest is history. He was out of there. So my thing about it is that, we do need a GM, and again, I know this conversation has an expiration date on it, because I'm going to be with everybody else when the ball rolls out on the field. I just want to see what we got. I'm really trying to see how they fit, how we can win with them. But I got to be honest, looking at the draft, it does look like they went out and coaches got personal picks. It looks like the coaching staff picked this draft. And if that's how we're doing things, then what the hell do we have the scouting department for? You know what I mean? Like, you need a GM. And I don't know, Larry, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the workflow of a traditional organization is the scouting department is at the behest of the GM, not the coaching staff. Right? Like during the off season, I mean, this is their season, the off season, right? The scouting department. And what they do is they pump as much information to the GM that filters down through the coaches, and then the coaches deliberate on what they like. And then we all come together with a cohesive plan. But if you have coaches literally picking up their iPads or geeking out over guys that they like throughout the season, and then these are the guys that are going in the hat, and then, the scouting department kind of turns on in like the 5th or the 6th and 7th round. It's like, that's not really a process. And if you just look at the drafts over time that they've had, it's congruent. It matches up with what we're seeing. We have a lot of guys that just get thrown to the wayside via the draft. And thank God that we've had players that can stay here and we've had great success. But if you can say, look at this, if you can use their success as a shield against the scrutiny for bad drafts, then I can use it as a sword for how much better they can be, because we really haven't won the Super Bowl yet. So, it goes.
Look at the Raiders. Look at the Raiders. The Raiders were wandering around. They added Spy Tech. Brady's the face of the franchise. The coach is the coach, but Spy Tech's making the picks, and they just had their best draft in years.
They had a phenomenal draft.
Yeah, Kieran Crawford, Trey Zune, Jermod McCoy, and a value play, first pick of the 4th round.
Super value play.
Mike Washington
Jr. Like, can we talk about Keelan Black just for a second? Sure. I'm never going to do this again. I'm going to do it again, but I'm not for now. Just give me like 72 hours. But, bro, Jonah Coleman was on the board. Mike Washington Jr. was on the board. Do we not like nice things? Why? I don't get Keelan Black over these guys.
They love that player. They love Keelan Black. I understand why they love Keelan Black. I love Keelan Black. Okay, so what's there to love? I mean, why are people so...
He's a change of pace guy.
I think what he is he's got enormous leg strength, and he's a gritty runner who's got great strength and pushes the pile. But he wasn't as dynamic as Mike Washington. And Jonah Coleman, he's more dynamic, I think, than Jonah Coleman. But Jonah Coleman's bigger and had a bigger track record of success. And he also was local. He's from Stockton. But Keelan Black, I understand why they love him.
Phenomenal vision. But that's what comes out right away.
He looked great at the Senior Bowl. And they were at the Senior Bowl. But once again, it's like the draft process is a full year thing. I'm torn because I love Keelan Black, the player, and I think he's a culture changing player. He's really tough, and I think we're going to love the grit. But that was too early. This guy was a 4th or 5th round player. Now, if you don't want to lose him, because but you gotta take more value there. I mean, they had another pick. They picked 26 in round 3. They took Keelan Black. They had the 7th pick in round 4. So it's not like, oh my God, you didn't pick again till the 6th round. You picked again in less than 20 picks. You picked again in less than 15 picks. And you went with Keelan Black at the end of the 3rd. That was a major, major nervous reach.
It was a head scratcher.
Yeah, that was. But it doesn't mean he's not a good player. He's a good player. I take more issue with Carver Willis and Yefrezian's Prysock in the 4th round, because Prysock to me is a gigantic swing at a number 1 corner, and you could have had Keith Abney, and he was a really proven player.
He was right there.
You could have had Jalen Kilgore at that point, and you needed a safety. So to me, the Prysock is a big swing, Coach. Like 6'4" corner, long arms, great speed, but a lot of penalties. Had a hard time mirroring.
He's grabby.
He's grabby as hell. So you know what? There's going to be a lot more penalties in his future. And then once you get a bunch of penalties, then they don't trust you. Then you don't play. Then you're just sitting there next to Darrell Luter going, man, you're tall. We're both tall. We're not playing.
You're tall. I mean? We're both tall. I do think that this is them. All right, let's just call it what it is. Demo was playing out of position. Demo, honestly, if they let him travel and he played slot or played second corner, he probably wanted to be the best corners in the league at that position. I just don't think that he's a boundary corner. I don't think he's a number 1 guy, right? And God love him. He's got the attitude for it, but they've been trying in this defense, right, the cover 3 defense, to be able to find that tall number one corner, that Richard Sherman, that Richard Sherman type that can take 1/3 away from the field and they don't have to worry about him anymore. They can tilt the whole defense over on the other 2/3 of the field. And they haven't found it. They've been trying. They thought they had it in Emmanuel Mosley. They thought they tried to do it with Darrell Luter Jr. Now they're bringing him in, right? They tried it with, they thought they maybe have had it with Isaiah Oliver. They've always been trying to get that long corner to be over there at that boundary spot for this defense. And I think this is them trying to do that again. Or if we're keeping it a buck, Chuck, he may get switched over to safety. We have 3 safeties, man. We don't have a lot of safety help as far as a free safety. So they may switch him over there. They may move him over there. We've got 10 corners on the roster right now. So him coming in right now would make 11. Eli Apple's not going to make it, right?
No. They got a lot of depth at corner. I'll say that. It does give them a lot of corners. I like Keith Abney, the professional, was he a tag player or something? I forget what he was, but he's an incredible athlete from ASU. He's very cocky. But they wanted the big number one corner. I'll say this, when we talked to the personnel staff after the game or after the draft, Josh Williams said that he made a couple interesting comments. He said first of all, they like him as an outside corner. They think he's a really, really tough competitor and that he plays like a much smaller bodied guy. So that's usually a high compliment. So we'll see. I just think that the Prysock pick was like a big swing at a number one. Carver Willis and Enrique Cruz. I mean, Coach, this is another one I don't like. I don't like wasting picks. You brought in Verdarian Lowe. You signed Brett Toth. You brought in Robert Jones. You only have 4 backup offensive line spots. You already have your established 5 starters. Then you draft not 1 but 2 day 2 or day 3 offensive linemen. There's no way in the world that Carver Willis, Enrique Cruz, Robert Jones, Brett Toth, and Verdarian Lowe in any world all make this roster. So either we're wasting free agent dollars on guys that aren't going to play, or we're wasting valuable draft choices on offensive linemen that aren't going to make the roster. But I don't, when it's obvious as day that you aren't going to be able to, either your free agent signings or your draft picks are not going to make your team because of numbers. There's nobody else. There's nobody that you liked better than Enrique Cruz and Carver Willis. I mean, Enrique Cruz was their last pick, but it was in the 5th round. But Carver Willis in the 4th round, an offensive tackle from Washington who you're converting to offensive guard in the 4th round. I mean, just another guy who's going to sit behind Connor Colby in the 4th round. That seemed way, way high. I could, I could easily go through. We could easily look at players in the 5th round that were quite a bit better. Nick Barrett, Joshua Josephs, Bo Stevens. Bo Stevens, the Iowa kid, went to John Schneider in the Seahawks in the 5th round. He's got a wrestling background. He looks like he could play any of the 3 interior spots. He comes from Iowa. They run the same system as you run. And instead of going Bo Stevens, you go with a Washington tackle that you're going to move to guard and hope that works out. The Carver Willis and the 2 picks, Enrique Cruz on the offensive line, bothered me on day 3. I didn't love the film of Enrique Cruz. He doesn't look like a tackle. And Carver Willis to me looked way off balance, like a guy who's lunging all the time. I don't know. We'll see. Obviously we'll see how it all shakes out. On at first glance, those look very unimpressive to me.
All right. Well, I like Enrique Cruz. I'm sorry. I like the pick.
Athlete. He's super athletic.
Yeah, he's an athlete, and that's why I like him. Again, Is it my version of going out to go get a tackle? No, but does it fit what I've seen them try to do? Yes, I think he's very athletic. He's very good in space, moves out, can move out, and in truck formations, getting in pulls. He looks really good, staying lateral to the line of scrimmage. Very good feet, fluid, good hips, typewriter feet in pass protection. He's got a very good. Pass set in terms of his jump set, starting off strong off the line of scrimmage, but he's not strong. He needs to work on his body. He struggles in the open field when he comes to getting to the second level of linebackers who really want to challenge him. And I think that that's something that he can actually work on. Strength is something that's functional. You can develop strength. I do believe that as a stronger player, the Niners would love to have him as a swing tackle to keep him around, possibly even getting in some spot duty. I didn't really get mad at that. I do believe that we need depth at the offensive line. Now, the Carver Willis pick, I don't understand that. I'm with you. Bo Stevens was on the board. There were so many other guards on the board. I don't understand why they didn't directly attack. I think Trey Zune was still on the board at the time when they got Carver Willis. I don't understand why they didn't want anybody traditional there. I thought that the guard class and the center class in this year's draft was underrated. You saw guys like Jake Slaughter get picked up. All of the centers Parker Brailsford got picked up and drafted. And for those people who are saying that Parker Brailsford is a little undersized, what do you think Jake Brindle is? That's what we're dealing with now. So the offensive line depth picks that they put in there, like I said, I like Cruz. I think that he can be able to help us. He just needs to get stronger. And when you're over 6'5", over 300 pounds, and you're running a 4.9 40, that's true athleticism, Larry. Like you can't. That's something that you can't.
No, I hear you. Oh, not only that. I mean, to me, you're talking about Cruz. The most impressive thing to me was the vertical. I think he's got 36-inch vertical. 36-inch
vert as a 300-pound man. That's insane, Larry.
That is insane. That does make you go, whoa. But back to this Carver Willis.
I don't like Carver Willis. Let's dump on Carver.
Okay, Carver Willis was the 19th rated offensive guard on Dane Brugler's board, right? He had him as a 6th round pick. He had Bo Stevens as the 11th rated player as a 4th and 5th round pick. So obviously it's a difference of opinion. Carter Willis is he's considered a solid run game blocker, but he's got to improve as a pass protector. They're moving him inside. This is the Dane Brugler thought on Carter Willis. He projects as a backup swing lineman. In the 4th round?
Yeah.
Backup swing lineman in the 4th fucking round? That's the one. That's the pick that makes me go, what are you guys doing? That was the one that was like, God, come on. All right, let's do this. Yeah. That one fried my bacon, as you can see. Let's talk about the picks that we love. Okay, because a lot of people in here are like, and we got a bunch of supers. We got over 2,000 people hanging in the room. We're off and running. We're an hour in, and basically we've just said hello. That's just the coach and I can go forever. But let me just say this: we're not going to be able to go forever today, but we are going to be getting into the players that we love coming up right now. But first, let's do our Prize Picks. This Krug Show is presented by Prize Picks, America's #1 sports picks app. Prize Picks is super simple. You just pick more or less on player stats or even game outcomes and build your lineup. It's available in most states, including California. If you haven't checked it out yet, use code HMA when you play $5. You're going to get $50 in lineups instantly. Also, thank you to Habbas Law, HabbasLaw.com on the web. Omar Habbas, Tarek Habbas, and the entire Habbas Law team. Thank you. Also, thanks to Alomar Marina. Check them out, alomarmarina.net. A fantastic spot, 5999 Garden Highway. Float and dine on the Sacramento River. Thank you, Novato Chevrolet. David Corral's the man to go see. He will give you a screaming deal. Just tell him that Krug sent you. And thanks to Sharp Corners, sports cards and collectibles. Check him out on Instagram at sharpcorners831 on the gram, and he's paying free shipping if you mention that you are a fan of the Krug Show. And of course, thank you to Pig and a Pickle, the title sponsor of the Krug Show. All right, Coach, let's get into let's fire away our supers, and then we will get into the players that we like. Riker Trav, F.U. Lowry, you and Coach are the best. Thank you. The coach is awesome, and we're glad to have him back doing this stuff. It's been too long, and the fire, the intellect, the emotion, all of it, we love it. Paul Glass says Isaiah World is greater than the undrafted free agent Chargers missed opportunity. Oh, he went to the Chargers in undrafted free agency, missed opportunity. Yeah, I really thought he was going to. I mean, like that would have been a great 4th round pick, Coach. He tore the ACL. He was projected as a number 1. He's 6'8", 320. He's got the tackle body, and he's going to redshirt this year because of the injury. I thought that would have been a slam dunk. And obviously, he goes to the Chargers instead. And that line that includes Joe Alt, Rashawn Slater. I mean, they're building a big line down there. Garibay says, ignoring DB and O-line early year after year is not good, but they always draft wide receiver and D-line early, and for some reason, they still have needs in those spots. Yeah, I mean, my biggest complaint with the current regime is that they redraft because they miss. So they take Solomon Thomas, they miss, here comes Drake Jackson. They miss, here comes Javon Kinlaw. They take Ricky Pearsall, they miss, here comes Deshaun Stribling. And all of a sudden it's like, whoa. They take Isaac Rendo, they miss, here comes Kaylon Black. And they're constantly, well, we drafted. I mean, people are like, they need a wide receiver and a defensive end. I'm like, well, the last 2 guys they drafted in the first round were wide receivers and defensive ends. So it's like they're redrafting over and over and over again because they're missing. So that is a problem. And that's my biggest complaint is that, you shouldn't have to keep taking the same positions over and over and over again because you're not sure. Like that's what I saw in this draft. It's like, we don't know which lineman's going to be good. So let's just throw Cruz, Willis, we'll just throw a bunch of, we don't know which free agent's going to be good. We'll just sign 3 guys. Now you've added 5 guys to your O-line room, and those 5 guys all won't make the team. So it's very dubious. Sean says, speaking to Bucky's post, I agree. However, we, the fans, have been married to this front office long enough to understand what they value and what their type is. And with that context, it was bad. They drafted like they're being fired, in my opinion. Okay. I mean, there's a lot of, believe me, I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. I'm not sitting here and carrying the water for the organization to tell every single person that's unhappy today that they're wrong. That's not the kind of channel that I have, and it's not what I believe. If I believe you guys were all wrong, I'd argue to the death, but I just don't. I think you guys are making good points. Boxing fans says Lynch said they wanted to improve their pass rush, but they waited until the 3rd round and chose an older, undersized guy with multiple surgeries. Yeah, that the multiple surgeries and the older player is not ideal. Not ideal. I think that their claim that it was a lot of depth, I don't think was real. The last hero says, look at the Houston Texans draft. Do you think if we made the draft selections that they made, that this team would be better and the fan base happier? Coach and I will take a look at that. Gnome says, Coach, we will be much better stopping the run with Fred and Bosa and Mikell back. So 3rd round rusher is in play. And Sean says, Coach, you preaching past the plate. Kerna _ says it's high time we talked about how the Seahawks and Rams both built a roster. They rebuilt a roster and won Super Bowls during the same amount of time the Niners have been running it back year after year after year. Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a rebuild. It feels like I feel like they caught on to something in 2019. We reached our zenith in 2023, and they've been chasing it ever since. There's just nothing new. I'm excited to see what Raheem Morris brings.
Yeah. Dr. Rockman says, respectfully, they beat the Bears and the Eagles. Coach tries to say they only beat bad teams and lost to good teams. You, sir, are gaslighting us, sir. No.
Nah.
I mean, they had an easy schedule. And they piled up a fat record on that easy schedule. There's just no doubt about that.
As they should, yeah.
But I don't think Coach was trying to say that they only played bad teams. And they played some good teams, but when they played the best teams when it mattered, the Rams and the Seahawks handed them their lunch.
Yes.
In a big, bad way. Fletcher says, I'm 7'5", Virginia born and raised, and I support Black from Virginia Beach, and I'm hoping he balls out for us from Tidewater to the Bay.
I ain't mad at the 7-5. I know all about the 7 cities. I get it. You know what I'm saying? I got people down there in Richmond. So, look, I get it. I want him to be good. I want him to work for us. But if you're just looking at the track record, the only reason why Keelan Black makes sense at the position that he was drafted at is that somebody inside the building really likes him. Consensus be damned, draft board be damned, value be damned. They really like him. And when you bring in a guy under that type of pretense, you want to see him play. Because guess what? He's not the first running back that's been drafted in the 3rd round where everybody has shook their head and said, that was a reach. And then we never used the guy. So that's all we're saying. We can't keep having this conversation in a vacuum as if this is a one-off. This is systemic. This is a pattern. It's a trend. Yeah. Right. So this isn't like, oh, coaches, what got coached today? Nah, dude, this is years, bro. So
and you're
stop Come on.
You're not arguing against the player. You're arguing against the reach, basically. And I am too. There's no ambiguity about my opinion on this. I love Keelan Black, and I understand why they fell in love. But let's not pretend that they didn't. They fell in love. They reached like a mother. I think it's going to be a good pick, but it was a major reach. And today, as we're analyzing the draft, it's okay to say that. But I love the player, and I totally understand why they do too. I really do. Anybody who watches my channel knows I've been touting this guy as a culture-changing type running back and a guy that I got to have on my team, and so I like him.
Oh, my God. Go to this comment after Frisco.
Okay, Frisco shows but the Niners lose Super Bowls with Kyle Shanahan due to the talent gap caused by poor drafting and favoring system over player. Does the gap persist because the Niners' offensive rookies don't play? It's a good question. It really is a good question. Did the Niners lose? I think they lost the Super Bowl because they weren't committed enough to their offensive line. That's how I think. I mean, they blew their offensive line. They were leaning on Burford and Feliciano and Brendel, and it's like, guess what? Those guys aren't good enough, aren't going to be good enough. And it's, to me, that's it right there in a nutshell. Go ahead. Which one did you want me to go to, Coach?
JSN moving 12:48 p.m. It's an X comment.
12.
JNS moving.
It's not a super.
No, it's a regular comment.
Okay, what time again? What time?
12:48. 12:48 p.m.
And what's the name again?
JNS moving. Okay. Plus, still have 40 and 50 million in cap.
God dang it! We're getting so many of these.
It's cool. Just move on. But the basic point that I wanted to make is that this team is top heavy. This team is top heavy. There's only a certain amount of guys that are getting paid. We're talking about 7 guys. All right, 7 to 6 guys that are making the big time money on this team. One of the reasons why the reaching does bother you is because all of the transients, all of the moving back and forth with the team is with the bottom other 95% of the team that we don't ever get anybody to stick or develop. Because everybody moves on. They don't keep anybody unless you come inside that top tier of 5% of the team. So, like, unless you're getting that type of money, you're pretty much, there's a disparity gap on this team. There's not a lot, like, there's no middle class on this team. If you look at the salary cap, it's the have and the have-nots. It's a real big gap. And part of that, when you see a team that's burgeoning, is you see balance across the roster and depth because you're developing guys and they're getting better. So you have to pay them. It just seems as though the Niners aren't really that interested in drafting anybody who they think that they'll have to pay in a second contract. I mean, we said it now. Deshaun Strickland, I love him, but he's a 5-year college player, 23 years old. Romello Height is 25 years old. Kalen Black is 25 years old, going to be 26 years old. They're getting older guys that are here for a need. They're not getting anybody that they absolutely want to develop. I don't think they want to babysit these guys. I think that they want to draft these guys and bring them in and ingratiate them into what they already have going on. But they're not interested in developing guys. What can you develop with Romello Height? He's already done. He's played 6 years of football.
It comes down to if you're, if your coaches have the final say, then yeah, I want a 25-year-old guy. I don't want, Keldrick Falls.
I don't want to babysit him. I've heard that a lot.
I'm going to coach him up.
How often have you heard that, Larry?
I'm going to coach him up, and somebody else is going to coach him when he's good. So, yes, that is a problem when you start drafting a lot of older guys because you're listening to your coaches and your coaches want immediate guys. I mean, that's the other thing. Last year, it's like you're drafting Junior Bergen in the 7th round because Brant Boyer, your special teams coach, son was on his team. He was the most non-NFL pick of the draft last year, and you're taking Junior Bergen. Why? Because Brant Boyer doesn't want to get his butt fired if he doesn't have a good special teams unit. I mean, that was just so bad.
It doesn't make sense, Larry. These guys, and this is what coaches. There you go. The coaching staff here has too much autonomy, bro. I'm sorry. There's a reason why coaches are not. I understand that there's a hierarchy in the building. One would say that a position coach in the NFL organization has a little bit more sway than somebody inside of a scouting department. I get that. But that doesn't mean that just because you may hold a higher position than me in the organization, that my job is less important than yours. And I feel like that they step on the process. They're bringing in too many curated guys where what's the number one thing that they always talk about? Oh, we brought in our gold helmet guys. Who's the gold? What does that gold helmet shit sounds like coaching? Like, this is a guy.
They won't even tell. Last year, they wouldn't even tell us who they were.
Yeah. And what it is, and what does it take to be a gold helmet guy? Context, personal guys, like things that you love about him. Oh, he's a real football player. The things that we like. It's like, I'm tired of them bringing in guys and automatically going to their character like we play in the SEC. This is the pros, dog. I don't give a fuck about if this kid's a good kid or not. I love his story. You know what I mean? He's made it this far. Everybody's got to have one. But at the same time, man, they're like drafting on character and like, oh, he's a mature guy. No, like, you don't see the trend? All these dudes are old as hell.
They're also drafting on need. I mean, you heard Shanahan say at the end of the draft, he's like, my thought on the draft picks is always, can we get all these guys to make the roster? So they have this kind of like, they're looking to try to, what we need is, we don't need another number one running back. We need somebody who can be the return guy on the special teams unit. We don't need this. We need a gunner on a. No, you can go find young athletic guys and teach them to be gunners. Go get foundation piece players. Keep drafting guys with starting potential. You can always find Scribinis to put on your special teams unit. They're everywhere. They're plentiful. You can get them anytime you want. It's hard to find core players that are going to make up your roster. They're listening too much to their coaching staff. Their coaching
and
staff.
You know what else it does?
About individual holes on the individual roster. Fuck the individual roster.
Yes!
I want the best long-term players on the O-line, D-line, linebacker, wide receiver.
Dude.
How about this? Why you're drafting Junior Bergen? I mean, think about this. Last year, you drafted Junior Bergen in the 7th round. You took a wide receiver that you have no intention to ever play at wide receiver because he was a return guy. Like, you didn't need a wide receiver. All you needed was a return guy. The next time you're on the clock, you take a wide receiver, 40 picks or whatever before he was slated to go. You reach for a wide receiver in your very next pick, but you took Junior Bergen, a return guy, with your previous last pick. It's like, once again, it's all about Junior Bergen's going to be our return guy. No even thought of, is he even NFL? And he wasn't NFL.
Dude,
and I knew that immediately. And it's driving me bananas that I'm just some guy and I can tell immediately that Junior Bergen is not NFL and Brant Boyer cannot. So what does that tell you? Do I know more football than Brant Boyer? No. He knows more football than me. Then how come he thinks Junior Bergen's good and I know he's not? Because he's tied to it. He's too close to it. His son was teammates with Junior Bergen. He likes Junior Bergen.
You know who else was a connection? Brandon Ayuk was a connection. They slow played that one. They slow played that one. Oh, we know Herm. We sat down and talked to him. We know the whole process. You know who else was a handpicked guy? Deebo Samuel was a handpicked guy. Got him down at the Senior Bowl. Kyle got a chance to coach him personally. It's way too close. These guys are drafted like they're taking orders for lunch at the Kinko's. Like, hey, what do you want? Hey, John, what do you want? I'm going over to Blimpos. What do you need, Kyle? And it's not organized. They're bringing in guys who they like. They're bringing in guys who they think are going to fit in the culture. They're bringing in guys who they think are going to fit needs and holes. But you know the number one thing that gets completely wiped out when you don't go best available? You kill competition on your fucking team. Because when you're bringing in guys for need, the starters don't feel pressured. They feel like, oh, my role isn't a privilege. My role isn't a standard. My role is a prerequisite. I'm the starter. I'm Christian McCaffrey. I'm the starter. I'm George Kittle. I'm the starter, right? They've turned this shit into a day-to-day business office flow. They've killed the competition because they're not bringing in real dogs. Yeah. They're bringing in recipes. They ain't bringing in the groceries, dog. All right? If you're going to make a recipe, you go get the little shit you need to put together your meal. But if you're going to bring in the groceries, you got to put some shit in and get rid of the old shit in your fridge. And that's not what they're doing. It feels like they're just fitting guys in instead of creating real competition. That's what's fucking me up about the draft. We need a GM.
Look at Howie Roseman. He's doing it better than anybody. What did he go get? He went and got Markel Bell. Markel Bell is going to start at tackle for them at some juncture. The Niners went with Carver Willis, a guy who's at best going to back up. I mean, he's a career backup. You can't draft backups. They're drafting backups and non-NFL players. I mean, Junior Bergen last year was heinous draft choice. Gabriel says, I wouldn't give a damn about the consensus if the players we were drafting were great. The last Pro Bowl player drafted in the first 3 rounds was Deebo. Yes, that is the problem. You want to go off script? Go off script. I'd go off script plenty, but I'd go off script for guys that were awesome.
For a dog, not a fit.
Yeah.
Not a fit.
And not somebody who's going to slate in as my special teams gunner.
Yeah.
I want somebody who's going to put a tight end there that can challenge George Kittle. It's George Kittle and the Kittleettes.
You know what's so crazy about this? End. I agree with you, Larry. What's even crazier about this is that it's the hubris to think that we not only don't need a potential starter, but all we need is a backup. And we need a backup so bad that we're going to go reach for him. As if Christian McCaffrey's not going to get hurt and we're not going to need that backup to give us starting quality production, right? Like, it's crazy to me. Why would you say I'm purposely going to go get a back? Deshaun Scribbling better play. He's our de facto first round pick. But watch them package him in. Watch them find out that he doesn't have a route tree. They don't run real routes at Ole Miss. And then when we start asking, where's Deshaun Scribbling? Kyle will sit there with a straight face and say, well, we're just trying to get him acclimated. It's a little rough to get him going. He needs to, I wanted it to get him ready, but he missed the install. I mean, what can I do? Jordan James missed the install. What can we do? It's not as if that we got all these fucking coaches around here who can get him ready to go.
You're giving your coaches way, way more power than they should have on draft day. And then you're not holding their feet to the fire to coach them up. I mean, so we're going to let Brant Boyer pick Junior Bergen, but then we're not going to play Junior Bergen and we're not going to hold Brant Boyer's feet to the fire. We're going to let these coaches pick these players that don't play. And these wide receivers.
Deshaun Stribling better. Dejon Stribling better play. He better play.
Who picked Jacob Cowling? Who picked Jordan Watkins? Because those guys didn't play. So, I mean, it's frustrating. They put a lot. On draft day, they give their coaches tremendous credit. But then as the season goes on, they don't hold those coaches' feet to the fire on the players' lack of development. Jordan Watkins scored 9 touchdowns his last year in the SEC. Are we supposed to believe that he's too raw to play for the 49ers as a rookie? There was something wrong there. So either you took the wrong guy or you didn't have the right coach to coach him up because you couldn't get him on the field.
Yeah, and it's crazy.
One other thought. They also took Jake Moody, and they tried to explain to us that they didn't have a lot of needs. And it's like, dude, the Rams and the Seahawks literally went by you and rebuilt their teams on the fly.
In our face.
As you had no needs to the point you were drafting Cam Latu and Drake Jackson and Jake Moody and second and third round picks on guys who can't play.
Hey, you know what? They are very interested in protecting their way of life. Everybody's getting paid. They're paying the right guys who know how things are going on. Kyle's the highest paid coach in pro sports, not just the NFL. He's the highest paid coach in pro sports who has not won a Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, come on, man. How bad can it really be? Let's get the guys in here to keep you guys elevated. This shit is almost like the NBA. And we're just trying to keep these old motherfuckers around by lightening up the game. No competition. Let's bring in backups. We'll draft your backups. As long as you can take the load during the season, we'll trust you. You're the pro. It's time to move on from that. We need more competition on the team. I'm tired of it. This is the insult to injury. It's not the fact that you reach for a guy, but it's you reach for a guy and then you bury him. That shit drives me insane. If you reach for a guy, at least have the courage of your convictions to say, I know I reached for him, but I believe in this dude. He's playing. I'm staking my name on him. He's going to be ready. I know. I don't give a fuck about what the board says. He's playing because I believe on him. You don't go get Jordan James and then don't play him. Right. For what? Would you reach for Jordan Watkins for if you never played him? For what? Why'd you do it? So it doesn't make sense, and it needs to be talked about.
They're cutting Corey Kiner and Camp, and then like weeks later, here comes they're just guys off the street, running backs that you got.
Come on, man.
I mean, come on.
My thing is that just make it make sense. I know that you're bringing in these old ass rookies to be very good backups. That's all they're doing is they're building their bench. All right. You're building your depth, and you don't want to say that you reached for the reason why they reach is because they know that these backups is specifically what they need to help the starters. It's not as if you're looking for a running back. Now, what would you need? If you were looking for a running back to back up Christian McCaffrey, or if you were looking for a running back to compete with Christian McCaffrey, who would you get? Would you get Keelan Black or would you get Mike Washington Jr.? You don't want Mike Washington Jr. because you know what he's going to do? He's going to compete with Christian McCaffrey, fuck up the money, and put Kyle and all of them in a position where they may have to put him down and play the young guy. So what do? You go get Keelan Black and say, oh, we love him. He's amazing. He's a permanent backup.
Well, not only that, Coach, they claimed that they didn't play Jordan James or Brian Robinson. Only played 17% of the snaps last year. They didn't play Brian Robinson because he didn't have a similar enough skill set to Christian McCaffrey. That was Shanahan's explanation literally weeks ago. Then they just drafted Keelan Black. He doesn't have the same skill set as Christian McCaffrey either. So what do we?
Not at all.
It feels like we're making it up as we're going along.
They literally drafted and reached for Keelan Black to be a backup. Think about that. Wrap your head around that.
He's a complimentary piece. He's not going to be. Mike Washington is a starter. Here's the other thing, though.
They brought in Romello Height to be a package guy, not an edge, not a real edge that can actually come with a rush plan, right? What they get Michael Williams for? Oh, we'll work on his rush plan, but we need to set the edge. We got to stop the run. It's like, bro, get a complete player. Well, I don't understand this.
How about instead of two faulty guys, how about one guy who can do it? You know?
There you go.
Yeah, and this idea of of trying to get backup players, draft starters, and have competition. I agree with you that you want to. Competition is what is this country has been founded on. Capitalism is all about competition. You got to have competition. You're right. They're taking away some of that competition by trying to slate guys in behind Christian. Go get somebody that can take Christian's job.
That can take his job. Thank you. And that's just how football is. It's okay if your boy lost his job.
Go get a tight end that can take Kittle's job.
Go get him.
Guess what? And guess what? If you find a tight end that's good enough to take Kittle's job, you're ahead of the game. You're not behind. You're ahead. Don't.
That's what I'm saying. Behind. It's giving friends. It's giving get with. Like we are boys. You play at a certain clip. I'm gonna protect you. I'll make sure that you get paid a certain amount of money. I'll be the coach. This is a nice little setup. Nobody, hey, and I even got the owner on ice. This is smooth, gentlemen. And we got the GM in our pocket. And we can draft backups in front of the fans' face and reach all over the damn place and try to tell them that we're going to get starters. Was Drake Jackson ever supposed to be a starter? Really? Come on, man.
I mean, first of all, I love Drake Jackson as a guy, right? Because he's a good guy. But I mean, I literally took one look at the guy and I'm like, that guy's never going to have enough strength to play defensive end in the NFL. He's just not going to be strong enough. He's not big enough, strong enough. I mean, Samson Ebukam looked like he had boulders on his shoulders and he was jacked. And Drake Jackson looked like somebody who played for De La Salle. I mean,
come on, man. He had to get bigger as he got into the league. They did the same thing with Spencer Burford. God, I love him, but it took Spencer Burford 3 years to get his body together. They drafted Aaron Banks in the second round. He had to get his body together in the second round. You pick up an offensive lineman in the second round that's not ready to play?
Dude, when John Schneider is drafting Abraham Lucas and Charles Cross in one draft and starting them both.
Come on. Yeah. So that's all I'm saying, Larry, is that I'm tired of doing it their way. I've got enough data to see how they're running this team. And what they're doing is they're protecting their guys. They're thinking about their fucking cap on how they got to pay these dudes, and they're sliding in backups. They're not putting in real competition, man.
I love Grant because Grant will make them uncomfortable. And they need to be uncomfortable because you know what? They're too comfort. Everybody's too damn comfortable right now.
They're too comfortable. They are.
They need to have their sheets yanked. You know what I mean? And they need some. They're a little comeuppance. Everybody's too comfy, cozy. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody's set. Everybody. It's like no, you haven't won shit. And everybody's
who's worried about this draft class? Who's worried about this? And if you're on the roster, right? You're an NFL player. Who's worried about this draft class? If I'm on the Niners roster right now, who's shaking in their boots like, oh shit, I better get my stuff together. They just brought in this guy. Who?
Nobody.
I
mean, take this draft. Nobody. There's not one guy that they drafted this weekend that's going to – but I'm not saying they're not trying to draft good players. It's just they're listening to their coaches. And when you listen to your coaches are always going to think about today and tomorrow, where your scouts think about building a structure that's going to have success long term.
They play against each other. That's why the GM isn't really a part of the team, because they already know what his angle is. He's always looking for competition. He's always looking to trade and barter. He's always looking to make a team better, even to the chagrin of the coaches that players think, oh, well, I'm really cool with my coach. I can't get clipped. Yes, you too. You can get clipped too, because the coach don't have nothing to do with you being here. It doesn't work that way here. And you're starting to see it matriculate through all facets of our organization. And I'm starting to feel like it's the smoking gun of why we're having so many bad drafts and why not only are we having bad drafts, but they seem to be really bullish on their board, which means that they seem to be really bullish on bringing in guys who don't rock the apple cart. I remember at one point that we were so successful in their eyes that they were saying, well, there's not a lot of rookies that even make our team. So, we've got to be careful. Remember that shit? And that is only a message that coaches say, because they don't want to do the job to really compete. They don't want to do the job to hurt feelings, to move out guys that they really developed, that they don't want to redo and get a new guy in there. That's coach speak. And you know who was sitting right there smiling his ass off when they said that? John. If there was a real GM, there's no GM worth his salt and weight that would say, well, there's really not a lot of guys that can make our team. Hell no. What are you doing your job for then?
Let's hit these. Sean says we won because they drafted well early in the regime and they have good offensive minds and a little luck. They've not restocked in 5 years. We're treading water with old as hell Hall of Famers because of we can't draft. I mean, they did. They hit on Kittle early. They hit on Warner early. They saved themselves with bad drafting early by drafting great players late. But those were players that had huge upside. Now they're looking for specialists and kickers and punters and gunners and backups. And if you draft backups, you'll never get stars. Rocky Mountain Razorback, Earth to Larry, we want an effing Super Bowl dude, respectfully. Larry understands that, believe me. No need to Earth to Larry. San Diego and 49er. Last 5 drafts show the process hasn't produced. Yeah, I mean, bottom line is the results. I'm a results-oriented guy. Don't tell me stories. Don't tell me. And the Niner fans are actually partially to blame because Niner fans are apologists across the board for the regime. Ricky Pearsall can't play dead. Isaac Guerrero hasn't done anything. If I ever even suggest that those guys aren't good, it's like, Krug, you're hating. You're hating on these guys. No, I just want to win, and those guys aren't playing well, and I'm going to say it, and you guys keep defending them. Oh, Rick, yeah, I was like, hey, trade Ricky. No, give Ricky another year. Okay, fine. But then if you don't win again next year, don't blame me. Dimitrov says Besantis at 33, whatever edge at 70. I preferred DDS, Jacob Thomas Kilgore at 90, other center guard at 127, not Willis, Black at 154, no problems. Yeah, I mean, the fact that Besantis went to the Cardinals.
Come on, bro. Monty
Ossenford absolutely kicked ass yesterday. Monty Ossenford had a
It's like they don't want to rock the apple cart, man. That's what this stuff is. They know that if they draft some real dogs to come in here and start shifting shit around, then we can't have conversations about Nick Bosa getting his quiet $46 million while he's coming off of an ACL tear, or freaking Trent Williams holding us over the coals again for his annual seance with us every time he wants his money, or Christian McCaffrey, us packaging over a wedding present to him when he held out after a Super Bowl, giving him more guaranteed money. The reason why they can't draft the way they want to, or why these guys won't bring in backups, is because the top half of this team, the top 10% of this team, these dudes are leeches, man. I'm sick of them. I'm ready for them to go. George, Trent, CMC, get them out. Nick, get them out of here. They're a high-performing athletes, dude, but they're too expensive, and they're holding the team hostage fiscally. And we're not going to draft to compete just to back these dudes up? Hell nah.
49 for life says a lot of those first-round picks at the wide receiver position were just one good season with the body of a first-round pick and not the production of a first-round wide receiver. Exactly. I mean, go look at Ricky Pearsall's football card and what he did at ASU, what he did at Florida, and then tell me that guy's a first-round pick. Hawaii, let's drop one of our safeties to a linebacker, our outside rusher. Okay. We got this one from Dimitrov. Man, please, Eagles got Jaden Roberts as a UDFA. Oh, I know. I mean, that's unbelievable. They keep getting stronger and stronger and stronger. Cosmo, who would you rather have as GM, Lynch, Balky, or Krug? I say Krug.
I say Krug.
Somehow
we'd have traded out in the draft, but we'd have been all right.
That wasn't a super chat. but somehow it got starred. I don't know how that got started.
Who started that up? I wonder how that got up there.
I had that get up there. I mean, that's amazing. Baby Radiance. I love this team, but it makes me lose hope, man. Don't lose hope. Don't lose hope. We got this one from Dimitrard. He says the interior O-line is the difference between appearance and championship. It's the documented failure point in both losses. Yeah. Yes. No question. Here we go. Dobie says, you guys are awesome. Coach is the best. People defending Black are missing the point. Taking Black in the 4th or 5th meant we had him and better guys. Yeah. No, I mean, it's not about Black. And let's take the conversation away from Black.
Yeah, it's not about Black the player.
No,
it's about where he was. It's the value of the pick. It's about the team. It's not about John, that I want John fired. It's that we don't have a GM. Just go be the president, man. I understand that these are the relationships you have, but get out the way if you ain't gonna do it right.
I would love, people say, oh, Krug, you're hating, you don't want, you're rooting for failure. No, dude, I'm rooting for success. I want John. I like John Lynch. I like Kyle Shanahan. In an ideal world, those guys win Super Bowls. I'm trying to tell them who I think's good so that they pick the right guys, so that they do well. I don't want to see them fired. I want to see them stay. But at the same time, I need to get more out of the draft than we've got.
I need some competition, man. Can we compete?
Yes.
Can we compete? Why does Mike Evans feel comfortable being on this team? Why does Christian Kirk feel comfortable being here? Like, can we compete? Can we get somebody in here to actually challenge Christian McCaffrey? Honestly, that's not a knock on Christian. That's football. We've been watching this sport forever.
Can we not? I mean, you have right now 5 offensive linemen that you plan on starting. You have at least 5 backups that you plan on having on the bench. Can we stop taking the Carver Willises of the world in the 4th round and take a Deion Burks or somebody who's got huge physical ability and may or may not make it? But if they make it, they could be very, very good. Instead, we're taking backup offensive linemen, and Kyle's thinking to himself, we just got to make sure that all these guys make the roster. And it's like, you know what? Is it having another backup lineman who doesn't play and your backup offensive linemen don't play? How many snaps do you really believe? You said you like Enrique Cruz, but let's be honest about this. How many snaps will Carver Willis and Enrique Cruz play this year for the San Francisco 49ers? A year when they brought in Greenlaw, Mike Evans. They're obviously in go-for-it mode right now. And instead, you're taking backup guys who are going to compete with other guys for backup O-line spots, never to see the field, over taking Deion Burks, who might be one of your more dynamic athletes at wide receiver, or taking another running back, or God forbid you actually take a good tight end who's going to challenge Luke Farrell and Jake Tonjes, who are not starting tight ends. I mean, they don't have a starting tight end right now, and they're taking backup offensive linemen in a year where they've already had 4 additions to their backup offensive line. I mean,
why?
They're wasting
because they've had the conversation. Capital. You know why? Because they've had the conversation with George, and they've said, you need to be here. When are you going to be back? Right? It always kind of gets revealed every time you hear about an injury. It's happening to Ricky Pearsall right now. Hey, there is a silent code and a silent room on this team that you're only allowed in if you do certain things. And one of them is playing hurt. You have to play hurt. You can't just if you can't play, you really can't play. It's absolutely donezo for you. And they're banking on George being 100% ready for week 1, even if he's a lesser version of himself, which is wild. I think that it's crazy.
No, that's not wild. There's a word for that. It's called medical malpractice. That's medical malpractice. This guy blew his Achilles out in January, and if you let him step on the field at all before Halloween, there's medical malpractice there. I mean, come on. It's an Achilles.
Yeah, I agree with you.
All right, unless I didn't look, and you know what? It's no longer 2026, and it's 21-26. Maybe in 21-26, you can come back from a blown Achilles in just a matter of months. But in 2026, I would expect he's going to be out until Thanksgiving. He should be out.
Well, if Khalil Dinkins doesn't make out for anything, the UDFA that we just picked up out of Penn State, you know what our tight end room looks like. It's slim pickings, man.
Brutal. Can you play tight end, Coach?
No, hell no. I can't play tight end.
It's all about opportunity cost. They give themselves less chance for success by jumping the board, grab the consensus projected stud, and your love crush later. Amen. That's probably one of the best comments of the day. We'll roll through these and we'll get back to our last thought here. Costco hot dog. How do you guys feel about how Lynch answered Grant's question? Makes me feel that's how dissenting voices get treated in the building. He sidestepped it. He didn't want any part of it. He didn't want to acknowledge the premise, which was that they've drafted poorly. He doesn't feel like they've drafted poorly. The numbers are at this point, the hay's in the barn. You know, the heck, it's not an opinion at this point. It's fact. Go look at it. They've been here for a decade. They have a track record, good and bad. And their track record as it pertains to the draft is not great. So, yeah, I didn't love that. I'm not surprised that he sidestepped it. But I didn't love that.
I don't think it's listen, if we had a draft that was a reach, right? And Grant went into whatever little site he went into or whatever broadcast he was watching and gained the fact that, man, this was a reach. And he went in and said that to them. I get it. That's calling them out. That's pot shotting, right? You're looking for an angle in a narrative, all right? But my man, how in the hell can you be mad at Grant for bringing it up this time, but not give him credit for not bringing it up the other 5 to 6 drafts that we did it? And everybody in the room had to sit there and smile as we drafted Jake Moody in the 3rd round. And we all had to sit there and pat John on the back and fake like this was a good draft. How long? How many should he did it when we drafted Cam Latu? Should he have done it in the Drake Jackson year? When should he have done it?
It was a fair question. A fair question. I know, and because it came from Grant, a lot of people, were pointing the finger at Grant. But it was a totally fair question. It was a totally fair question, and he dodged it. And I think, I wouldn't have thrown an excuse if I was John, but I think I would say, look, I hear you. We've made some mistakes. I've made some mistakes. I think I would acknowledge that. That there's been mistakes made. But I think I'd also push back. I'd acknowledge that there are mistakes made because I think that you have to. It's the truth. Grant, you're absolutely right. There have been some mistakes made. Our track record is our track record, for good or for bad. But we've also been one of the NFL's most successful teams. We also have had a couple Super Bowl appearances. We also coming off a 12-win year. We did knock off the Super Bowl champs in their backyard. I hear what you're saying, and I'm not totally disagreeing. So, I think that's how I would have attacked it, Coach. I would have acknowledged that Grant was right, but I think I would have pushed back on, hey, we're not terrible. We're doing some pretty good things,
right?
And let it stand. Instead, it came back as kind of a sidestep, and then Kyle stepped in. I don't think it was a great move for the regime.
I don't know. I feel like even if you would have asked it in that frame.
Yeah,
Larry,
it's not going to be.
He would have taken it out and been like, "Oh well, we have done really well, thanks, Larry," and just moved on. I believe that
it's also time and place too. Like let's just say I had him on a KMBR segment, or I had him on the show, and I'm sitting there, and we're having a one-on-one conversation. We're having a conversation in an interview setting, and to me, it's any question that's asked in a one-on-one interview is lighter than the lights, the masses, everybody's watching, and then you throw it in. But that's the only media availability they give us. So if they made John available and we could have a reasonable conversation about the process, and ask some tough pressing questions, then we wouldn't have to do it in the presser. See, I think they're so the PR staff is doing the regime a disservice. You've got to put your guys out there to your media in a way that allows for that, but then have a separate deal so that doesn't dominate your message to the nation. Because now that became Warren Sharp's commenting on it, and other people are commenting on it, and it's made Grant a little bit of a celeb on the whole thing. And it's like there's a better way to handle that. You have individual sit-downs with these guys and let people ask the toughest questions they can come up with, and then do a presser. And then you don't have to have these awkward questions asked in that context, in that setting. I just think if that question was asked in a different setting, he would have given a different answer. But because in that setting he's put on the defensive, he got defensive and he defended it a little bit. It wasn't a great moment.
John was clearly pissed, like he was upset.
Grant.
He did. He wanted to choke Grant.
He could have read John's mind. He's like, I played 15 years in the NFL, and I will
kill you. Yeah, it's like, I ain't gonna lie. I loved John not hiding how pissed he was. It was good. It makes for good theater, man. I'm here for the bombast, bro. I'm easy to forgive early. We could go to the top of the moon. We'll argue all day, and then I'll be okay. Like, let's go get something to eat later. So I loved it because I think that when the ball is out, play ball. Yeah. And I think that sometimes John and Kyle, they come into that press box, they come into that press room, and they think that it's a bit routine sometimes. Like, we're just gonna go through, we're gonna play the eights and just get out of here, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll talk later, right? And then Grant comes at him with some hard rock, and it's like, no, how about you do your job today? Here goes a real question: why do you reach again?
I think the better question there. I mean, it's easy for me to critique, with the 50,000 watt view day later or whatever. Mm-hmm. I think the better question there would be, instead of more attacking the entire record, just straight out, hey, John, you reached dramatically on this running back. And obviously you guys like him and you have your reasons, but it was an undoubted reach. And it seems like we see that a lot. Can you speak to that? Why are you reaching there? Is there something about your process that you're falling in love with players? Something a little bit more direct. So it's not like an attack on his entire draft record. It's more about this move.
Okay. So can I tell you something? Because I think that I'm in a unique position that I think that you'll appreciate it, because you can't do what I'm about to talk to you about. You are too connected to the team to see my perspective and the rest of us in the chat. We're not in the building, Larry. So let me give you a little bit of our perspective, okay? We know who's going to ask what questions because we listen to all of you for years, right? So the best tell me if I'm right or wrong in the chat. We're just going to do a little bit of a thought experiment. The best in-locker interviews are from Larry. We know that. If you want to hear from player locker interviews, you want to hear from players, you want to hear about the UDFAs that are coming in, there's nobody in the business that's covering the Niners that's going to do it better than Larry, okay? God help us, but when we talk about the cap, we know that we have to go to David Lombardi. It sucks, but he's phenomenal at it. We all have to do it because he knows what he's talking about, but we all go to David because this is no shit. He's good at it. So we go to David, all right? When we have to talk about the innuendo and the narratives of the team, we go to Grant. We go to Grant to give us the human element of how did this really look from a football and a non-football perspective. So respectfully, you would have never asked this question, Larry, because this isn't a Larry question. The Larry question is going to be during the season. You call the task when you see things that are happening during the season. You guys aren't running the ball well. You guys aren't doing these things that I've seen from my scouting eye, because this is who you are, Larry. We appreciate you for it.
Well, I mean, the one thing that I banged on them last year the most about, and I was outraged. I was absolutely outraged. I brought it up probably 20 times. And I think they responded. I got to be honest. I think they responded. Last year, Coach, Jed gave them an ultimatum to spend less money. I don't think there's any question about that. I don't have proof of that, but I that's my belief. And they spent less money across the board, but they also spent hardly any money in the undrafted free agent market, which is, I think, the smartest market there is, because there's a lot of good players there, and they're cheap. They're relatively cheap in the grand scheme of things. The Niners last year were 26th in the NFL out of 32 teams in undrafted free agent spending. And I roasted them about it constantly all year. This year they came out, and I don't know where they're going to rank because I haven't seen the rankings yet, but we'll get into it. We haven't talked about it yet, but they've spent money in the undrafted market, and they went and got some dudes. And that was a smart thing. And to me, last year they didn't do it, and they're really good at it. I mean, their scouts are really, really good at it. Heck, they got Brock Purdy in the last pick. They got Azeez Al-Shaair, Kevin Givens, Raheem Mostert, and others. They do a really good job after the draft. I want to see them spend their money there. I said it a bunch. They responded this year by being much more active in the undrafted free agent markets, in that regard. So if you're cheap for the sake of cheapness, I'm going to roast you. And if it affects your football, I'm going to roast you. But you're totally right. I'm not going to sit there in that setting. I would.
That's not a you question. That's not a you question.
On that question in that setting.
No.
But if they gave us chances one-on-one to interview him, if they gave me a chance to have him on the Krug show, if they gave me a chance,
I know you would ask him. Yes.
On CMBR, I absolutely would say, John, the consensus the opinion on these players is here. Your guys' opinion's here. There's obviously a big difference. How can you make sense of that? Can you talk about, reaching? Because it appears to the outside world that you're reaching dramatically, and it seems to be getting worse, not better over time. Can you speak to it? Like, I want that answer, but I wouldn't ask it in that setting. But you got to. But also, I do tip my hat to Grant because there's a courageousness about what
speaking truth to power is what Grant does. It's what he does, and there's nobody in that room who would have asked that question but Grant at that time. Who would have not cared that it was fresh off the draft? You would have said if all of you, David, Mayoko, Grant, everybody who's in the room, if all of you had at the same time, I want to ask this question, the same question. All of you would have asked it differently and at a different time. All of you. But there's only one that would have asked at that moment, which we needed that question asked at that moment, and it's Grant. He's the only person that would have not gave a fuck to do it.
Yeah, you're right.
So it needed to happen. It needed to happen. It
was a great moment.
Yeah.
I had that moment once, and it was after the NFC Championship game when I basically asked Shanahan. I told him, I said, hey, I watched the film. I saw Kevin Givens and Chase Young Cadillacing it. Is this your culture? And I asked him that question. And to his credit, he did not run from it. He did not dodge it. He absolutely did not. He said, this is not our culture. I did see that. I didn't like it. So I will ask a big time, powerful question. But to me, I almost got to be forced into it. In that scenario, I felt forced into it. I had to ask that question. But you're right. I do admire Grant because he will fire. Boxing fan says Herm also said Ricky would struggle in the NFL, and they still drafted him knowing he had existing injuries. So what the fuck? We got this one. Nope. DM CMC was up to speed in 2 weeks. David Esger, they could have drafted Dunker and still had all the players they acquired in the first 3 rounds. Oh my God, I know that makes me sick.
Yeah.
David Card says, bruh, let's be real. Jordan James would have ran better than CMC on first and second because he can run through people. Hey, James is a dog. James is a dog? I don't know if James is actually a real person. I got to see him on the field a few more times. I mean, he's a myth. I mean, my God, he's like the risen Lord. I mean, whatever. Old Fogey says, Coach, you cooking? Don't stop. Hit the gas.
Yeah.
Baby Radiance. Why even have scouts if they're going to have their coaches handpick these draft picks? I totally agree.
That's the question.
I agree. I'll say this: if I love my wife, I love my 4 kids. If I ever scouted for the Niners and I was on the road 35 fucking weeks a year looking at offensive linemen.
You won't pick my damn player.
If I'm staying at a goddamn Howard Johnson's in Texarkana, you fucking better listen to my ass.
You better listen. You better indulge me or at least fake it. You better fucking fake it.
When I'm going to a Hampton Inn in Arkadelphia, you better listen to my ass.
When I'm in fucking Spokane, Washington, huffing it on a bus to Poughkeepsie, you better fucking listen to me.
When I'm in a diner in Shreveport having my 9th straight blackened catfish sandwich because it's all they got on the goddamn menu, you're going to listen to me.
It smells like feet in here. I'm telling you. I'm just, dude.
I just told RJ Gillen that I like him not wearing socks. My God, you're going to listen to me.
Dude, they have to start using the scouting department. Even when they interview, when they give the press conferences during interviews, they let out way too much information, and they let us know that these are guys that they pick. These are hand-picked guys from their coaching staff, and that's why they all look like reaches. Remember when during the I think there was one time in the NFL where they let the players pick. I think it was in the NBA. They let the players pick the all first team pros. Yeah. They let the players pick for the first time, and it was the most horrible fucking picks of all time because it was personal. Guys couldn't see the forest through the trees. People think that guys think that players are better than what they really are, and you need somebody to help out. Go ahead.
Sorry, you just jogged a thought I got to share with you. Trent Baalke and Jim Harbaugh hated each other, but Jim Harbaugh in the draft where the Niners took Kaepernick in round 2. Wanted the Niners to take Kaepernick in with the 7th pick. Trent Baalke said, "Get the fuck out of here. I'm taking DeForest Buckner."
You're fucking high, John.
He took DeForest Buckner and told Harbaugh to beat it. And then in the 2nd round, he got Harbaugh. They traded up, if you remember, to get Kaepernick. He was afraid Harbaugh was probably going to kick his ass if he didn't get Kaepernick. So he traded up to get Kaepernick in round 2. But you don't listen to your coach. Your coach doesn't know the board like you do. And that's why you got. Otherwise, you wouldn't have gotten DeForest Buckner. You would have taken Kaepernick 7th overall. I mean, so
John may be too much of a football guy. John may be too much of a football guy. We need to get a traditional GM, somebody that's separate from the coaching staff, that handles the contracts and handles player acquisition.
If I owned the Niners, I would go to Kyle Shanahan and I'd say, Kyle, I've got great respect for what you've done, but I also want to make some changes. But I'm willing to compensate you. Can we talk? And then I'm sure he'd be pissed and be like, no, I don't want to change anything. And I would just say, Kyle, look at this. How about this? I'll give you a significant raise and an extension, and let's make John the president of the organization next to Guido, and let's go get a proven director of college scouting, guy that we really think is going to kick ass in the draft, and let's tell him what we want, but let's stay out of his world and let him pick the team. And you coach it, and we'll let this genius young kid Thundercat come in and pick the guys, and we'll let John be our face of the franchise, and let's win championships. And I'll compensate you. I'll give you a couple extra $1 million to have this new structure. What do you think, Kyle? And if he's like no, then he's probably dead man walking in my eyes. And then I got to think of. I'm giving him a few more years, but then I got to really think about what I want to do, because I can go status quo, but if they can't do any better in the draft than they've done, they're never going to climb to the top of the mountain, and nobody gets forever. So that's what I would do. I would try to incentivize John and Kyle for a new structure that just basically brought in a third guy and allowed him to draft. I mean, Elliott Wolf is 5'2" and nothing, 127 pounds. This guy can't block. He can't tackle. He can't do anything. But guess what? He can draft. And Ron Wolf was his daddy, and he's done a nice job in New England. They went to the Super Bowl last year. Look what New England did this weekend. They had a pretty nice little draft. Marcos Alvarado says, Mikhail Kamara, the third best pick of the draft, in my opinion. Wow, we'll hit that in a second. James Wang says, this is why I love Krug. The Niners just had a wildly perplexing, disappointing draft. But here comes Krug to get me hyped for UDFAs I've never heard of. That's what I'm here for. 49er fan for life. Every time Coach yells, if you close your eyes, you'll hear Ice Cube. Oh, that's awesome. Sean says, got to push back on it's the fans' fault because that they don't listen to us. Shout out to Grant for pissing in their cornflakes. Ask the tough questions. I actually think the media is more responsible. Okay.
You guys give them way too much leeway. They're on easy street, dude. Like if this was, man, if we were back over here and we were on the East Coast, bro, man, if these were Philly fans and they brought that draft in here, imagine what would be going on right now.
You know, it's hilarious too, because on one hand, Corey Rush, who was with the New York Giants, will look at us and be like, yeah, this ain't nothing compared to the East Coast. But then if you do come, with some fastball in the inner half of the plate, it's like, hey, bro, what was that? That was a fastball in the inner half. It's like, dude, you just told us that we ain't nothing compared to the New York media. We're too soft. We don't stand up to Boston, Philly, New York, all these places. But then you come hot. You come with the hard fastball on the inside corner, and it's like, hey, man, that almost hit him. Dr. Rockman, Grant is not a member of the building. It's like someone outside of your family walking up and telling you your kids aren't being raised properly. Ooh, yeah, it is. There is a little bit of that. There is a little bit of that. Larry, old fogey, says, Larry, we got love for you, but to be honest, if you're not pissing off John or Kyle right now, you're not doing your job. Enough with the trying to smooth things over. It's not. I kind of disagree with that. It's not my job to piss them off. It's my job to cover the story, and I feel like I absolutely do. But I hear you. I wasn't there for the presser. Who knows what I would have asked. Frisco Shields says, "Are you officially old when you buy a freezer just for meat?" Yes. You are, yes.
Yeah. You got a meat freezer, Larry?
Yeah. Well, we got a second fridge. I mean, we're worried about the apocalypse upon us. Marcos,
when you start becoming a doomsdayer, you're old too.
When you're going to Costco and you got a refrigerator full of food, there's problems. Marco Alvarado says, everyone knows this draft was mid. When will the 49ers ever listen? Me, a nobody, would have drafted better, only reach within 40 spots. Lynch laughs at the Rams just to reach just as bad, not taking it serious. I will say this, and Coach and I have talked about this. I'm going to do a video later today where I'm going to take 10 players from the 7th round, and I'm going to call that my draft class, and I'm going to put that up there against whatever anybody else's draft class was, and we're going to follow my draft class. You're
insane.
I'm going to pick 10 guys. In fact, I'll even tell you who they are right now. They're Jack Endries, tight end, Texas; Landon Robinson, defensive tackle, Navy; VJ Payne, safety, K-State; Eli Heidenreich, running back, wide receiver, Navy; Devin Eastern, defensive tackle, Minnesota; Garrett Nussmeier, quarterback, LSU; Rayshon Benny, D tackle, Michigan; Uar Bernard, who came from...
You took Uar?
I took Uar Bernard from the International Pathway Program. From
He's
Kenya.
never going to play, Larry.
I can't even put on the uniform. Are you kidding me? Deion Burks out of OU, and I took Red Murdoch out of Buffalo, who was Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick. Those 10 guys are my 2026 draft class. I will put my 7th round selections up against every other team's draft, and I'm going to follow it for the next 2 or 3 years. I will bet you that my 7th round selections will be competitive as a draft class with every team in the league. I could be wrong. Coach advised me against it, but I
did advise you against it. I told you not to do this. I'm laughing at you. Not only did you do it, but you announced it on stream.
I'm doing it. S. Mauricio became a YouTube member. All right, a little clap there.
Awesome. Okay, Mauricio.
There we go. We got this one. TBD says, "Cheers from Spokane. My 7-year-old
could draft better."
Wow, unbelievable. Say hi to Mark Few up there in Spokane. Tom Crown just says, "Hey, I'm Tom Crown. I just want everybody to know I'm here."
What up, Tommy boy?
What's up, Tommy? Baby Radiance, how about let the fans pick the picks next year? Yeah, seriously. How about this? The Niners have announced the first interactive draft where the fans...
Larry,
dude, how awesome would that be?
Larry, first of all, that
would be amazing.
Could we have picked a better draft, honestly?
I think so. The fans could have.
We could have picked a better draft. Real talk. Just with what we know about the board, we would have clearly picked a better draft.
I mean, I don't want to say that because then when I see John and Kyle, they're like, "Oh, you think you know better than us." All right, let's do this. We've been talking.
And you know what you should say to him? I think you watch too much YouTube. You should be YouTube. What are you doing?
I'm the kind of guy that if you got me in the right day, I'd probably be like, I do know more than you. Seriously, if you got me in the right day.
John, it's funny you mentioned that. You have a minute. First of all, who do you think you are?
There are times when I'll ask when I go to ask Kyle Shanahan a question about personnel, and I get the feeling that I probably do know more about the guy because he's got more going on, and this is my singular focus. All right, so let's do this. We're 2 hours and 4 minutes into the stream. We got over about 2,500 people watching right now. If everybody could take a second and just hit like and subscribe. If you hit like, more people find the stream in the algorithm. If you hit subscribe, you can, anytime Coach or I go live, you'll get a little ta-ding, and you can never miss a minute. And of course, both channels are always worth following for this. I mean, I can fire this away. It's an amazing thing. I'll be firing that away in training camp.
Keep doing your thing, man.
Oh, I gotta. It's sad. I'm a sick, twisted human. All right, last thing though. Let's finish on a high note. We've bashed, we've crushed.
Yes. Let's uplift.
Let's uplift on the way out. Let's finish with this. We all have our favorites. Tell me what you love either about one of the guys in this draft class or one of their undrafted players. Who are you excited about that they added this weekend?
All right, I got two guys. I can go with one drafted and one undrafted. The drafted guy that I'm going to talk about right now is Grayson Holton, defensive tackle that they picked up in the third round, I believe. Or was it the fifth?
Grayson Holton was fourth round, number 107.
Fourth round. Neither. All right, good. So I love Grayson Holton. I think that one thing I like about him is that he gets off the ball before guards can even set their feet. He's got one of the first steps that I've ever seen. His swim move has real pop. It's something that actually pops off the screen. He's absolutely a menace in space. He times it well. His hands are busy and he's violent on contact. One thing that you think about with fast players that are a little undersized in the interior is that they kind of hold on to offensive linemen because they just don't want to get overpowered. I like his hands. They're busy. They're violent. He's got punchy hands, all right? He keeps rushing after the first hit, after the first move stalls, which he needs, again, because he's a smaller player. He doesn't wait around. He always looks for more work. One thing that I've also seen him do is find work on stunts, being able to miss a gap and keep traveling over to find work on the other end of a rush and actually come out with some good results. Another thing that I love about him is that he finds the ball carrier laterally, which means that, man, anybody who wants to run away from us, outside zone, we got running backs in the open space, quarterbacks who are like sneaky good, not anybody that can actually kind of like burn anything in us, but, a Sam Darnold type of athleticism. This is the type of guy where you see this guy run down Sam Darnold on camera, on film, and you're going to say, oh, my God, this guy was moving. But this is the type of speed and athleticism that you can kind of count on Grayson Holton. Also, I think that because of his age, he's 24. I mean, I think he's 24 years old. No, he's 22. Sorry. Because of his age, at 22 years old, there's a lot of upside for him. So right now he's 6'3", about 293. I could see him at like 310, 315 in about 2 or 3 years and actually be able to help in the run game on like a real basis. Right now, I do believe that he's going to help us immediately. He's going to play a lot. I believe that even when we picked up Grayson Holton, that was around kind of when we got out of the peaks and valleys of the draft and we started drafting better. He was actually I kind of tapped him as like the turnaround pick of the draft because I like the next 3 picks. Yeah. Now, somebody who I really like that we picked up is tight end out of Penn State, Khalil Dinkins. Yeah. Now, this is somebody who played behind Tyler Warren, which we already know was great rookie tight end that played over there with Indianapolis. But what I love about Khalil Dinkins, 6'4", 251 pounds, 33.5-inch arms, 10-inch hands. Now, With speed, he gives you a 4.7 40 with a 117-yard split. But one thing that I love about him is that he's explosive. He's got a 9.11 broad jump, a 32.5-inch vert, and a 4.33 shuttle with 25 reps on the bench press. One thing about him is that he's a dual tight end. He's an inline tight end. And if you go watch his film, he's a strider. He's got really good stride frequency. I love how he gets out in the open field. He's somebody that he had 14 catches for 167 yards and 2 touchdowns. His average per catch was 11.9 yards per catch. One thing that you also got to look at he wasn't necessarily utilized that much in the passing game, but I believe that's a part of his game that has a lot of upside because he is such a good runner. And at 4.7, go watch his film. Go watch some highlights. He doesn't move at 4.7 speed. So Khalil Dinkins is somebody that I'm really excited about. And on top of the fact that it's a need, the tight end room that we already brought up earlier in the show, we don't know when George Kittle's going to be back. We can't go to war with Jake Tonjes. So we got to see what else we can bring on. So I love Khalil Dinkins. And also the defensive tackle that we picked up from Illinois, Thompson. This guy right here, love him. He's a big kid that played at Wisconsin for 4 years, finally came on and played with Illinois. And I think that he's really going to help us out in the run game, along with Bryson Eason as well. So I'm all about stopping the run first. I really think that that's going to help us out. And I love the D-line prospects that we brought on. And the tight end, Dinkins.
Look at now, first of all, a couple of thoughts on your guys. One, Dinkins. I kind of see a little bit of Kittle here. Now, before people lose their mind, what I'm talking about is Niners paid him, by the way, $275,000 guaranteed. So he's
making the team.
He's making the team, and they really like him. He's a great blocker. 25 reps at 225, 6'4", 250, 33.25-inch arms. So he's got really long arms. But what I love about him is that he's a really strong blocker like George was coming out of Iowa, but he's totally underutilized.
Underused.
This guy only had 46 targets in 4 years in Happy Valley. 46. That's nothing. They never threw it to this guy. So, and I think there's more receiving ability there than people think. So I love the Khalil Dinkins thing move. I think that's a great one. And your mention of Halton. We talked to the Niner personnel guys, and they said, man, they loved him at the Senior Bowl, and that they love his ability to play in the backfield and to get penetration and have 3-down value as a pass rusher. And Tariq Ahmad pointed out that they think that they had some concerns, but after talking to him and watching him, they feel like he's going to be able to hold up well against doubles, even though they had some concerns about that. So Halton, really interesting. The tight end, very interesting. James Thompson, though, I got to show you this because this is unbelievable. This is James Thompson in every rep from the Shrine.
Was it Shrine Bowl?
Yeah, I think this is the Shrine. This is every one of his reps in one-on-one from the Shrine. Ryan Fowler put this out. But this guy is unbelievable quick and strong. We're talking about strong guys, and we'll mention, this guy had 22 reps of 225. This guy had 24 reps. CJ West, he's really strong. He had 25 reps at 225. James Thompson had 36 reps.
He's a man.
He's a big-time dude. He's very strong, and we'll watch these one-on-ones. Very quick, very strong.
And he's rangy, too. Look how long he is.
Yeah, there's a couple of these that are just really incredible. One where
look at those knees. Like he's very, very flexible to be 6'6".
Yeah. It's a little bit of a war daddy inside. And he did it at Wisconsin. He did it at Illinois. But he looked amazing in the All-Star game practices and the lead up. He turned this into his personal show.
Whooping that boy ass.
That's Caden Barnett right there. And he's 320 pounds and was all conference. He's just going right through him. Look at that. Look at that. He can't hold 320 and strong. and he just bull rushed him.
Look
my
at
guy,
those
a wee woo.
hands.
Look, he just made a wee woo. Look how this is a wee woo.
Hold on. Oh,
He's just too quick for a wee woo.
I like his feet.
Oh yeah, and this guy's a 310-pound guy with 36 reps on the bench and quickness. This is a great undrafted free agent. So I love that one.
We need interior D-line badly.
Yeah, I love the James Thompson one. Okay, so my favorite picks, I love Mikhail Kamara. And, Mikhail Kamara is a 6 feet, 260-pound edge rusher. And you know what? He's just really, really good. And I've liked him for a long time. I was a big fan of Kamara when he was at Indiana. Obviously, didn't see him at JMU. But this guy's 6'1", 250, maybe closer to 260. He's from Ashburn, Virginia, and he went to JMU. He's had 127 pressures over the last 2 seasons alone. That's a ton. That's a ton. He was a 0-star recruit. His dad's from Sierra Leone. His mom's from Jamaica. He's already graduated. He had a blocked punt in the national championship game. What this guy has, he's got short arms, but he's relentless. He's determined. He has a closing burst. His measurables are not great, but man, this guy just played, and he's just got quickness that's unbelievable. I mean, I think Mikhail Kamara as an undrafted player, coach, that's got to be one of the best undrafted players in this class, I think. Give you an example of what I'm talking about with this player. Here he is against Francis Maui Noah, who went wherever he went, super high. Look at the quickness of Kamara against Francis Maui Noah here. It's a singular rep. Maui Noah's playing right tackle, and you got him at the left defensive end. Whoop! Inside. He's just too quick. He didn't get his hands on him. He's just that quick of a guy. So, and he's 260, and he very, very productive. So 260. 6'1", 260, very productive. Really like him. And then I like Jaden Duggar. Jaden Duggar, the draft pick from Louisiana.
I like Jaden Duggar too.
He's a little raw, but he is a legitimate linebacker at that size. And he's got great ability. He had 125 tackles last year. He's got speed. It's going to take some time. He's going to have to be coached up. But, man, I loved his film, and I thought he was a tremendous get. The other guy that really opened my eyes is Wesley Grimes, the NC State receiver. He ran at his pro day 4.36. Last year, they timed him at 4.24. He had a 1.49 10-yard split. He's a 6'2 receiver with legit 4.3 speed. I kind of like Wesley Grimes out of NC State. You mentioned Jalen Stroman from Notre Dame.
Stroman, safety out of Notre Dame. Mm-hmm.
They also got Will Pauling, a receiver out of Notre Dame, and you mentioned Bryson Eason, the gigantic defensive tackle from Tennessee. So they got some interesting players as undrafted players. But I'm excited about Duggar. I'm really excited about Kamara. Really excited about Dinkins.
Oh, you would bring up your guy.
Which one?
Come on, man. Deuce Chestnut.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so they didn't actually sign Deuce Chestnut. They invited him. They invited him for a tryout. But I did a deep dive last night on Deuce Chestnut. And Deuce Chestnut is a corner from Syracuse. He started at LSU, went to Syracuse. I saw an interview, and he's like, I can come in and play right away. He's like, I've got special team experience. I can play corner. I can play free safety. I can play nickel. He's a tough kid from Camden, New Jersey, who dreamed of being an NFL kid as a little kid, as an NFL player as a kid. His guy was Cam Newton. He loved the Seahawks and their Legion of Boom, Sherman and Lynch and all those guys. I'm going to show you some footage real quick because this guy's really, really interesting. I think he's got ability as a corner, but I also think he's got real ability as a safety. And that to me is exciting. I think this kid might be something. And they're bringing him in for a tryout next week at their at their their OTAs. Let me see. Let me type him in here. But yeah, Deuce Chestnut. He's an undersized. He's like he's an undersized safety, or he's a corner. And they asked him, "What spot do you prefer?" And he's like, "I'm a lifelong corner." But they extended a rookie minicamp to him, a rookie minicamp invite. Let me see if I can find some footage. I love the way this guy played, though. His highlights are really good. Let's see. I think we have one here. We can show you a little Deuce Chestnut. The guy moves well. He tackles well. He's tough as hell. And there's a lot to like about Deuce Chestnut. Okay, I'll show you. Let's see. This is the film I have. I don't have tons of options film-wise, but this is what I got on him. But I love this kid's toughness. I love his versatility. And he's smart. He's tough. He's athletic. He'll hit. He'll cover. Deuce Chestnut. Here he is.
What's he run?
Did he pick up the... I can tell you that, too. Let's see here. First, we'll play this.
Larry.
And they haven't signed him yet, but they invited him to the OTAs. So we'll find out if they sign him. We do have a couple more supers before we bolt.
Okay.
We have this one here. Let's see. We got that one, right? How about the fans pick next year from Baby Radiance? David Esger. Larry, you've detailed Niners misses in the first 3 rounds repeatedly. Grant was correct in asking Lynch why. Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's to me, you just have to be cognizant of the fact that the Niners are one of the NFL's more successful franchises. So you have to give him that. But I think you also have to acknowledge that they've had misses. And I think the question was abundantly fair. It absolutely was. Decadina, thoughts on gifting the Browns Emmanuel McNeil Warren? We needed him. Yeah, I mean, they traded the Browns the pick that became Emmanuel McNeil Warren.
That one hurt. That one hurt. And then to watch Jalen Kilgore just stay there for all of those. I know you were hurting with me. The drop of Jalen Kilgore. I just knew we were going to pick him up. I'm like, all right, now we can get Jalen. Jalen's there in the 4th. We can get. I'm confused, Larry. I'm confused.
You had to have. I mean, I'll agree with this. A scout that I talked to about him said you have to have the vision of how you want to use him. Because he's not really anything. He's a slot corner at South Carolina, but he can't play that in the NFL. He's a free safety in the NFL, but what kind of feel and instincts does he have? Or is he a weak side linebacker in the NFL, and then he's undersized? I would have drafted him as a weak side linebacker in the NFL and not worried about the lack of size because it's a speed
just play
game.
Him.
Yeah. Just play him. Play him weak side backer. Play him on special teams. Dino Pade says for a Tenjamin, do the Larry impersonation.
For Tenjamin, do the Larry. Oh, I got a Larry impersonation. I got one. Okay, let's we're gonna trade back. Let's see what the Niners are gonna do. I got a friend, Deuce Chestnut. Love Deuce Chestnut. He's 5'5". All right, he lives in Poughkeepsie, Arizona. All right, loves lollipops and drinks chocolate milk at night. We're gonna draft him right there. We're gonna trade back. We're gonna do some more trading back. I was doing a lot of my Larry impressions during the draft show.
Oh, that is awesome. Dimitrov, what Larry is saying, the scouting department is saving the 49ers on the back end of things. There is still hope. Laughing my fucking ass off. Well, there's no question that there seems to be a different. I mean, let's just say this. We know that John and Kyle aren't doing the undrafted portion of the proceedings. Why? Because they're doing a press conference.
They're doing press conferences.
They're like, literally, the guys are upstairs doing this. It's like, But I'll say this.
It is way too sack lunch with the Niners, bro. It's so sack lunch. It's so just hokey, old school. You know what we really meant. Dude, it's too sack lunch.
I will say this, though. Through all of my bitching and complaining about the undrafted guys, I think, Lynch did point out that, hey, look, he was teammates with Rod Smith. Rod Smith is one of the greatest undrafted players in the history of the league. If once you're teammates with Rod Smith, you should take undrafted free agency very seriously. Dimitrov says, what Larry is saying. Okay, we got that. Oh, that was the last one. Okay, so we got to wait. No, we were going this way. We got that one. We got that one. We got that one.
Are you going up or down on the list?
I was going down because I got to 45. We had 49s. We had 4 new ones. Anyway, that's going to do it for us. We've got them all. We got them all. So we appreciate all you guys for jumping in. Coach, I'll give you the final word. We're gonna call it here. We're 2 hours and 25 minutes in. We do have 2,400 people watching, and we do appreciate
awesome.
All of you guys. Yeah, seriously. We're really. First of all, I just want to say I'm thrilled that we're streaming together. Just whether we agree on football, disagree on football, I don't care. I really don't care. I just love that we're streaming again. It's brought great joy to me. Kev loves it. I love it. The audience loves it, and I'm hoping you're loving it as much. And I look forward to more dialogue. We got a lot of time to talk about this thing over the next few weeks. We'll have the rookie mini camp, we'll get. I'll put my eyes on this stuff. We'll actually film some of it. You guys will get a look at these guys, and then we'll come back in a week and so and kind of break it down. And I guarantee you this: the one thing I can say definitively, there'll be some player that the Niners liked that I didn't like that will look really good, and then there's going to be some player that I really hate that the Niners like, and that player, and I'm going to be right, and that guy is going to be bad. So it's just a matter of it takes time. But I'll say this. I think the word I would use, Coach, and I was thinking about this, because I've been doing this long enough to not be fair. I'm fair with people. Mm-hmm. What's the word I would use to describe the 49ers? It's a little bit more as far as their drafting. I would say they include their coaches to an unhealthy degree. They give their coaches too much power, and because of it, there is a clunkiness and a inefficiency to their drafting early, but then by the end of the draft, they hand it off to their scouts, and their scouts, I think, do a lot of day 3 and after the draft, and I think their scouts are fully competent and maybe even really, really good. And I think you've got both. You got some really good personnel people and some really good scouts, and then you've got this kind of dysfunctional. The coaches have too much say. Kyle has too much say. It's clunky. It's inefficient. They're drafting the guys for reasons and this, and they're reaching, and it's just. So I think it's two different. It's almost like 2 different drafts, and I think ultimately, what they got to do is they got to find a way to just get everybody doing what they're best at. Kyle, you're a great play caller, great play sequencer. Coach the team, call the plays. John, you're a great face of the franchise. You're a great responsible. I mean, compared to Trent Baalke and Jed talking, John Lynch talking, I want John Lynch representing the 49ers going forward. But this, you were a Hall of Fame football player. You were a very good broadcaster. You're a really great face of the franchise. But it's a different skill set to be a nerdy, great draftnik, scout, know everything, Howie Roseman guy. And I think they need to find that guy and empower that guy and put these guys in a role. Let John be the face, let Kyle be the coach, and let's let nerdy GM boy be the nerdy GM boy, and let's go win fucking Super Bowls. That would be my message. That would be my thought. I love John. I love Kyle. I don't want them to be fired. I want them to continue on. But I think we're centering on they have a problem, and I think their problem needs to be addressed. And that's my thought on it. And I don't think John's horrible at his job. I just think they're inefficient and they're inconsistent.
If I had to go with one word, I would go with disconnected. The 49ers strategy right now is disconnected, and not just from the league, but a little bit from reality. When you're consistently drafting against the board and consistently missing, that's not, and you consistently have confidence, that's a disconnect between how you think you evaluate talent and what the results actually say. So listen, I just want them to be connected in their process. I want everybody to be saying the same things. I don't want to see a tough question asked and then John retaliates and then Kyle has to come behind him and clean it up. I want them all to be on the same page. And the very last thing that I want to hear is I don't want to hear about picks that coaches wanted. That shouldn't come out again. I don't want to hear about, well, Coach Kasarik really loved this guy. Well, Coach Kasarik's not a part of the scouting department. Respectfully. You know what I mean? Like, I want to hear all from Coach Kasarik when they give him their 1 to 2 times to talk to us. But outside of that, bang, bang. We got the team we got.
I'm afraid to ask this last question because I don't want to take us down a rabbit hole, but I do need to ask this last question.
Okay.
Let's leave on this note. Who is there? Give me a team or two that you like their draft. Give me anybody is there anybody out there that you thought, man, I loved what they did?
I really like what Arizona did. Yeah.
Okay. And they went Jeremiah Love, Chase Besantis, Carson Beck, Caleb Proctor, Reggie Virgil, Carson Sherrar. I don't know much about him, and Jaden Williams. Yeah, I mean, their first 5 picks were hitters.
I love Baltimore's draft. Baltimore. Zion Young. I think they got Elijah Surratt and Jacoby Lane. They went out and got Matthew Hibner from SMU.
Chandler Rivers was a nice get.
Chandler Rivers was a very good grit. Rashawn Benny that deep in the draft. That was a very good get. I also like the Bills draft. They went out and got the corner from Ohio State. They also got their edge in TJ Parker. They went out and got Jude Bowery from Boston College. Then they really went out and got Skylar Bell, the receiver from UConn, turned around and, they got Jalen Kilgore, the big time defensive tackle. I mean, we went out and got Grayson Holton, but Zane Durant, they picked him up in 181. Tommy Day. Yeah.
This is an awesome draft. Seriously.
The Bills had a fire ass draft.
So they started with TJ Parker, TJ Parker. I didn't love TJ Parker. Igbinosun, he's not my favorite, but he's a tall corner. But once they get Jalen Kilgore and Zane Durant in the 5th round, God, those are great 5th round picks.
Dallas had a good draft.
Dallas, let's take a look at
Caleb Downs. Then they had Malachi Lawrence. They went and got our guy out of Michigan.
They had a lot of draft capital, too. They had Caleb Downs, Malachi Lawrence, Jayshon Barham, Drew Shelton, Devin Moore, LT Overton, and Anthony Smith. Yeah, that's a good draft.
1 pick less than us.
It's a good draft.
Yeah.
You know who I thought was really a great draft? I thought the Raiders and Spytech had a great draft. Now, granted,
the Raiders had a phenomenal draft. They couldn't go anywhere but up, though.
Fernando Mendoza, Traden Stukes is a super athletic defensive back. Kieran Crawford is a very great pick in the 3rd round. Trey Zune's going to play in the NFL a long time. Jermod McCoy is going to get healthy. When he gets healthy,
pick of the draft.
That's a great pick. Mike Washington in the 4th round.
You got yourself You got yourself another starting quality linebacker, a running back to help out Ashton Genty. They got a 1-2 punch over there.
Yeah, I love their draft. I'll tell you the other. I liked what Elliott Wolf did in New England. I don't love Caleb Lomu, but Gabe Akis, the Notre Dame tight end, Crown over in the 5th round, Jam Miller in the 7th round. I thought there was some. Considering that organization is dealing with a lot of crisis right now, and yet they still drafted pretty well. You know who I thought
the Jets had a good draft?
Who?
The Jets.
The Jets. Let me take a look at the Jets. The Jets. Let's take a look at the Jets. Where are the Jets? There. Oh, there we go. Jets kind of changed the logo up a little bit. All right. David Bailey. And then they went Kenyon Sadiq, Omar Cooper Jr., D'Angelo Pons, Daryl Jackson, Cade Klubnik, Inez Cooper, VJ Payne. Yes, the Jets had a great draft.
They had a fire draft.
That's a great draft.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the team that I thought. Well, let's take a look at what Seattle did. John Schneider went Jadarian Price, and then he came back. Bud Clark gave them they now have a great coverage safety. Julian Neal, Bay Area kid, good size.
He's going to play.
Bo Stevens, big offensive lineman.
He's going to play. They needed that.
Emmanuel Henderson has got speed. If he's even, he's leaving. I think they got a steal here in this guy, Devin Eastern from Minnesota.
From Minnesota.
Yeah, so John Schneider had a good draft. The guy who I thought had the best draft is Tampa. Look at this draft.
It's insane.
Ruben Bain at 15. Then they come back with Josiah Trotter. That's kind of almost reminded me of Rich McKay's Warren Sapp, Derek Brooks duo. You got Ruben Bain and Josiah Trotter.
And Josiah Trotter.
And then look
two guys that are going to start.
And look what they finished up with. Ted Hurst, who might be the best receiver in this draft when it's all said and done.
Yep.
Keontae Scott in the 4th round, and that's how you play the 4th round. I mean, did Keontae Scott go after Carver Willis?
No, yes, he did.
Oh my God.
Also, go ahead and say his name at 155.
Is that true?
Wait, hold on. Carver Willis, Keontae Scott got picked at 116. Carver Willis got picked at 127.
Oh.
You see the shit I'm talking about?
Oh. No,
it's right there.
No, wait, you said Scott was at 116.
Yeah.
And then
no. Carver Willis was at 127, so he was gone before.
Who was the pick before Carver Willis? Was that
Grayson Holton?
Yeah, okay.
At 107.
Man, Keontae Scott, Diamante Capehart, the Notre Dame offensive lineman, and then Bauer Sharp, the tight end from LSU, 6'4", 250.
I've been on Diamante Capehart all offseason, bro.
Oh. I didn't realize he only played 12 games in his career at Clemson. I don't understand why. He must have been hurt a lot. But, I mean, that's a draft, man. Ruben Bain, Josiah Trotter.
They got Billy Stroth from the guard from Notre Dame.
Yeah, I bet you they have 3 Pro Bowlers between Bain, Hurst, Trotter, Keontae Scott. I bet you they have 3 or 4 Pro Bowlers there. Oh, my God. Tampa Bay. Jason Licht. Unbelievable. Let's see what the Rams did. Did you like the Rams draft at all? Let me see.
It was okay. They threw me off when they immediately went for Ty Simpson.
Max Clare, Keegan Trost, C.J. Daniels, Tim Keenan. Now, Rams had a bad draft.
Rams didn't have that good of a draft, in my opinion.
But Arizona had the draft.
Jeremiah Love, Chase Basantis, Caleb Proctor, Reggie Virgil, Carson Shahar, and Jaden Williams. They helped themselves immediately. The Cardinals had one of the best drafts. It's the Cardinals and the Bucks.
I thought Denver had a really good draft too. They got Tyler.
They didn't even have a first-round pick. It took them like 2. When did they first pick?
They gave it to Waddle, right? So you had Jalen Waddle, who's obviously better than a lot of these guys. But then you got Tyler Onyedim from A&M, who's a good defensive.
That was our guy.
Jonah Coleman, Boise State guard Cade Casey. Justin Jolly's a solid tight end. Miles Scott's a solid safety. Dallin Bentley is probably going to.
They drafted very well.
Yeah, I mean that's a good draft right there. Denver looked nice. Interesting. Let's check out Green Bay too because they're always interesting. They went Brandon Cease. Now they didn't have a number 1 pick, but they had Brandon Cease, Chris McClellan, Denis Dennis Sutton, Yager Burton.
That's a good
Jackson.
one.
Yeah, that's not bad. So interesting. Brad Holmes, I think, is one of the best GMs going. He went Blake Miller for Detroit. Blake Miller, Derek Moore from Michigan, Jimmy Rolder, Michigan. Now, this is a great draft. Now, see, this is Brad Holmes.
Keith Abney.
Look at this draft. They had Blake Miller. They get a replacement for Taylor Decker. They get an edge rusher, Derek Moore. They get a really solid linebacker in Rolder. They get a corner in Abney.
Steele.
Really good receiver in Kendrick Law. They get a high-effort D lineman and Skylar Gill Howard, and then they got a big base end in Tyree West from Tennessee. I love Brad Holmes, man. I think he's really underrated. I think he might be one of the most underrated GMs in the game right now.
Word? You think so?
Oh, I really do. And the other guy is this guy. I love Chris Ballard. Look what Chris Ballard did. He didn't have a first-round pick. They traded it for Sauce, right? They traded their first-round pick for Sauce. They wind up with C.J. Allen, A.J. Halsey, Jalen Farmer, Bryce Betcher from Oregon, George Gums, the athletic end from Florida, Caden Curry, the edge rusher from Ohio State, Seth McGowan, who's a really solid, speedy running back who's about 220 pounds for Kentucky, and they got Deion Burks in the 7th freaking round. Chris Ballard. Whoa, that's a draft.
I mean, right now, you look at their first 3 picks, all starters. C.J. Allen, A.J. Halsey, and Jalen Farmer are all going to start.
Plus,
that's a draft.
And then Sauce Gardner.
And so, and then Sauce.
You know who else I thought had a pretty good draft? It was a good day for Kansas City.
Yeah, they
Kansas City.
did.
They go Mansour Delane with the pick that they, with their number one.
Traded up with the Browns.
Then they go Peter Woods, who at the beginning of the year was thought to be maybe one of the best defensive tackles. R. Mason Thomas. Jaden Kennedy, a really good player at safety. Emmett Johnson in the 5th round. I mean, Emmett Johnson in the 5th round.
They needed that receiving back.
Compared to Kalen Black in the 3rd round. I mean, really?
It's not even close.
And then Garrett Nussmeier. I think that was an awesome 7th round pick by Kansas City. He's got small hands, but I think Nussmeier is a pretty good player. All right, Coach. Good stuff, man. We'll leave it right there. Thanks to everybody. Hit like and subscribe on your way out the door. We appreciate every single one of you guys. Oh my God. We got a couple more supers that we got to hit before we get out of here.
I said we got 4 more.
Dimitrov. What Larry is saying is the scouting department is saving the 49ers on the back end of things. There's still hope. Laughing my ass off. Okay, that was the last one. Then we got these 4. Marcos Alvarado. Why didn't we take Warren and wide receiver Brazil, Bo, World? Come on. Yeah, I hear you. James Wang. Larry, you missed my super. God dang it. Oh, damn it. Hold on, James. Hold on. I'm sorry about that. That is inexcusable. It really is. It's inexcusable to miss somebody's super. I wish they had a little bit better setup for this. But let me just get this down here and make sure we get these. James Wang. There it is. Oh, I thought didn't I put this out there? This is why I love Krug. The Niners just had a wildly perplexing, disappointing draft.
Yeah, we laughed at that.
Yeah, we laughed at that one.
You must have not been paying attention, Jameson.
Yeah, we got that one. But anyway, we appreciate you. And thank you on that one. We also have this one from Yayeria. How about the Browns draft?
Ooh.
The Browns draft.
I got it right here. Spencer Fano, pick 9 overall. Casey Concepcion, pick 24 overall. Then they went Denzel Boston in the 2nd round. Then they got EMW right before. They used EMW for our 58 pick. They picked up Austin Barber, the tackle out of Florida.
Love him.
Parker Brailsford in the 5th round. Justin Jefferson, they went Alabama back-to-back.
He's very
Joe
athletic.
Royer, tight end out of Cincinnati. Taylon Green out of Arkansas. Carson Ryan, tight end out of BYU. I like this draft.
This is a great draft. I mean, you know why? Because they took a flyer on a high-end player in the 6th round. That's when you take a flyer on a high-end player in the 6th round. I think that's
where you go get your Taylon Green.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good one right there. And we have this one from Browns and Titans had a good draft from Area.
Yep.
All right. That's going to do it for us. Coach, have a great Sunday, man. You already took Hannibal for a run.
Yep.
We'll do this again in a week. We'll have mini camp. We'll have more information between now and then. For Coach, I'm Krug. Have a great one. Once again, appreciate all you guys. Stop it.
Got to take this beat away from you, Kev. Take it away from him, Kev.
Peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of.